Welcome, Porch Timers. Let's not forget to smash that like and subscribe button. It's been a while since I've done that, so hit that notification bell because sometimes the algorithm blocks us.
You know how it is, freedom lovers. You gotta get us.
See us over on Rumble.
You gotta donate on the Patreon page. You know how it is. They cancel us. Yeah. Let me listen to this song. I could use this as an intro song.
God damn it.
He just fell out of a coconut tree. Viewing this in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Yeah. That could be the intro song forever.
Nightmares about that. Oh, I've been trying to steel man. I've seriously been trying to steel man the what is it? The what may be unburdened by what has been, right? And I feel like, okay, so I grew up on Disney movies, right? So The Lion King, one of the things you learn when you watch The Lion King, the older you get, is that, oh no, Timon and Pumbaa are totally wrong. You know, that was like mind-blowing to me when I got a little bit older and was like, oh yeah, the first enemy Simba had to defeat was Hakuna Matata, right? Because that was run away from your problems. And one of the first things that Rafiki says to Simba when he's trying to teach him there's no such thing as no worries. Like, you have responsibilities. He's like, you can't change the past, but you have to learn from it. And I feel like what may be unburdened by what has been is like the opposite of that. Like she's like teaching you. No, it's definitely Hakuna Matata. It's like every time I don't know, every time some lefty guru tries to teach a lesson, it feels like anti-narrative. It's just real narratives that run through the veins of the human soul. And they're just like, no, the opposite of that.
Well, as of course someone like James Lindsay would point out and others, is that it does ultimately sound like the Hegel thing too. It's like, you know, we got to come to the future and undo the past. Or some other people pointed out, like, it's exactly Kylo Ren saying, you know, forget the past, kill it if you have to.
Especially the phobias.
Get rid of phobias. So we ended last time guessing if Biden would resign. And it happened 2 days later, so I guess I'm a prophet now. Although, I mean, now in hindsight, like, how many of the people in the country, I mean, everybody felt it coming, right? Like, everybody was a prophet.
Yeah, but I was hoping it wouldn't. I really didn't want it to, because I wanted another debate so bad. Because, like, Kamala is, like, she sounds stupid as hell in her speeches and stuff. But she's not a terrible debater. I mean, she got her ass kicked by Tulsi Gabbard that one time, but she also kicked Biden's ass a couple times.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And
honestly, I might have thought she sounded all right. Because I remember not thinking she sounded that stupid at first, and then later being bewildered that I thought she was stupid, that I didn't notice how stupid she is. And I think it's just because she was in between Cory Booker and Beto O'Rourke. And those two are just dumb as hell.
They literally all almost got more votes than her, though. She dropped out before.
No, I know.
I saw somebody like count them all up. She dropped out before we even got to the primary. Some people still randomly voted for her in the primary, even though she dropped off. So she's had 800 direct votes in the country, and now she's our presidential candidate, I guess.
It is kind of funny how they're like, they asked the press secretary the other day, did you see that? Like, did he drop out because of health? And she said no.
It's so ridiculous.
So you're like, now it's, he didn't drop out because of health, but he he still feels like he deserved a second term because that's what he said in his thing
Yeah.
yesterday. He said, "I feel like my work merits a second term, but I'm going to pass the torch." And I'm like, "Hang on a second." So he's
I'm
not.
perfect. I'm
Yeah, I
great.
know it's
I
everything's
did the
fine.
best ever.
So you're saying
And
the only reason you're dropping out is because like you thought you were going to lose.
no, I wasn't. I was going to beat him too. I was
No,
on
he's going to
track to
beat
beat
him.
him.
I was definitely going to beat him.
And I was doing the best ever, and I was going to do even more. And the work wasn't done. He said stuff like, "The work's not done. I want to finish the work, and I better drop out." And, what? And, yeah, what's her name says it was definitely not for health reasons, but that's the lie they got to keep up so that they don't have to 25th Amendment him right
I know.
now.
Well, it's nuts. It's like they know that like we know that they're lying, but they know that we know that. It's like this weird stupid game we play where everyone knows you're lying and we've just come to expect it and we don't really hold you accountable for it. We just bitch about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you do to hold him accountable. Kick him out, I guess. Like, no, you're fucking lying. You can't have this job anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing in the world. So he was obviously strong armed out, and now there's obviously a new narrative that he did it because he's George Washington. He did it for the country. He did it to save everybody. And that's humility, man. That's humility. But obviously he was, well, first off, there was that whole thing where everybody thought he was dead for a few days. And um which I don't think was that weird of a thing to think, because why on
No.
earth would they announce the stuff the way that they did and act like it was just normal? And I saw Jesse Singal on Twitter, who I generally like. Like, he reports pretty well against like some of like the trans lies and all that sorts of deal. But he was freaking out at the right. He's like, "This is why you guys are crazy, because you're saying he's dead right now, and I want you to really rethink where you're getting your news sources from," and all that sorts of deal. And first off, I didn't see one person report it who wasn't crazy skeptical, but they're just like saying, "Why did he do all this? What was all this? That's so weird. That's whacked out." But then secondly, why are you acting like it's just normal times? You're a nutbag for thinking anything would be out of the ordinary here when the whole thing's out of the ordinary.
I know. It's like we've had a month full of first time evers.
Yeah. And why wouldn't the president make that announcement? Not, even using his own paper, like using some like they didn't use any like what is that, parchment from like the office of the president or anything like that. Just put it out over Twitter. They supposedly hate Twitter, and they just gave that to Twitter, and then he's just vanished for several days. But you're crazy. Like, rethink what you think about the world if you just didn't think that was all just normal as happening.
And they're still going. They're still going with the save democracy. Like he's a danger to our democracy.
Save democracy.
Please don't try to save our democracy by shooting Hitler. That would be wrong.
Yeah.
Save our democracy by voting me.
And if you voted for the other guy, you ruined democracy. I guess.
No, there's a bunch of people talking at work, and there's a couple of more left leaning dudes at work, and they'll listen to. Most of them are just conservative guys. They listen to them speculate on things, and sometimes the conspiracy theories these guys bring up are kind of stupid, and sometimes they're like, I get it. And then when they leave, like the two lefty guys are talking to me like, I can't believe those guys, like, they're like, I don't know how anyone could possibly think that blah or whatever. Like, how could they possibly think that there was some weird conspiracy around the Trump assassination attempt? And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Like,
it's whacked out.
Yeah, there's weird shit. Okay, like everything we know about it is fucking weird. But even before that, they kept talking about oh, your conspiracy theories. I bet you think it came from the lab in Wuhan. Like, how do you not go through several iterations of that and then finally be like, okay, maybe I need to think about it. I think it's because they gaslight themselves into thinking that, yeah, no, I always knew it was from a lab in Wuhan. I never said it.
Yeah, it's that stuff that they update. I mean, I think I have a that thing that Zuby said here. Let me see if I can
Oh, that was
find that.
great.
It's just I've got all the memes in the PowerPoint now this time, but that might actually be harder than just pulling them on Facebook, although they'll be bigger. But I have to click through them all. I don't know any faster. Oh, there it is. There is an ongoing pattern of one, something is blatantly obvious. Some people point out that the thing is blatantly obvious. These people are attacked and ridiculed. Time passes. The experts concede the blatantly obviously thing was correct. 5, no apologies. That no apologies part. That's the off ramp part, man.
I
But
know it is.
I mean, that's basically what it was with the whole Biden sharp as attack, sharp as attack, sharp as attack, sharp as attack, sharp as attack. And then suddenly he gotta go. And they just changed everything in 3 weeks.
And now we're going to be hearing about how Trump is too old to run.
Trump's too old to run, and now Kamala is meme magic. I saw a bunch of people
know.
saying, like, this is the first time memes may win a presidency. I'm like,
What are you talking about?
mother effers. Like,
Where were you in 2016?
2016 was called the meme wars. Like, what are you talking about? And now they're
I saw somebody, like some MSNBC dipshit, say, like, oh, and she's clearly winning the meme war right now. I was like, what the hell are you talking? Okay, look,
it's
there
so
never has
astroturf.
a more true adage been spoken than the left can't meme.
Yeah.
They fucking can't. Okay, and I mean, granted, the right, they usually can't write a song very well, but the left can't meme.
This is astroturf. Like, have you seen it? Like, they really are putting like this crazy astroturf push to something called Brat Summer. That's why my name's Kamala Brat. And Kamala fan edits. They call them fan edits. I'll pull up a fan edit right now. Oh, here's a fan edit.
So Steve asked, has Biden ever said why he is stepping down? His press secretary said it has nothing to do with health. And yes, the reason he's stepping down is, well, his record is great. His presidency was awesome. In fact,
Everything was perfect.
It would warrant a second term. All the
It
stuff.
was perfect.
All
was
the
exactly right.
historical stuff that he got done. Also, it's not due to health. Nothing to do with health at all. He
accomplished more than any president ever, and that's why.
He's like, it's like having your cake and eating it twice.
It's not health. It's not health. No, but that's exactly it. They're not giving a reason. They're saying just it's incoherent. It's just more incoherence. Everything was perfect. He was gonna win. He was gonna finish the job, and he was already doing a perfect job. And he's totally healthy, and he's got to do this.
Why did you wreck your car? Were you texting? Were you drunk? Were you falling asleep? Or you were just not paying attention? I was driving perfectly. There was nothing. I obeyed all of the traffic laws.
I'm always and I will be the best into the future.
And I could keep on driving. There's no reason for me to stop driving, but I'm gonna let this guy start driving.
That's the answer. Yeah, it was ridiculous. So watch these fan edits. Like, sure, fans are making these. They say they're all over the internet.
Think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
And I guess that green is her color. Like, oh my gosh, it's so wild. This green color is her green color.
Big Sister General.
Longhousers, look at the face of the ultimate HR lady. You are looking at it. It is ultimate HR lady 2.0 since Hillary.
365 girl.
Viewing sisters in the context of all in which you live and
girl. French girl.
I don't know what's wrong with you young people.
So those are the fan edits that are going to. They're all the youths say are going to win them the election. The youth.
Do you know what this reminds me of? Is shoot, what's his face? Oh. Why can't I remember his name? He campaigned. Former governor of New York, or sorry, mayor of New York, not Giuliani.
Andy Cuomo.
No, the
Oh, the
rich
Bloomberg.
guy. Yeah, Bloomberg. Do you remember his campaign in 2020?
Yeah, vaguely. I remember it got weird when he was like sticking his fingers in a bunch of pizzas.
It was
Remember that?
amazing. So his campaign, he understood Trump's meme war, and he tried to purchase a meme war.
Oh, that's right.
You remember
Him
the
and
Bloomberg?
Elizabeth Warren. They said they
Yeah.
needed a meme team.
He spent like more of his own money than has ever been spent on a campaign, or like an insane amount, like $100 million or something, hiring people to make memes. And it's just people. That's the funniest part, is people can see the through authenticity. If your meme wasn't made, it's humor, you know. It's, you can't make a joke about something you don't really care about. You can't make a meme about something you don't really care about either. So people just laughed at his memes, and this feels like a more concentrated, like a more highbrow
But even
effort
even
to
that
do
was
that.
even that was smarter because it was like a true diffusion of like, we'll pay you for good memes. So it's like it's actually trying to appeal to the crowd, which is where you actually get good memes.
Yeah, I guess this is just pretending that
This is total astroturf. This is pure astroturf. Like, look
Right
at,
now, Kamala Harris is going to be the first candidate ever memed into the presidency.
Are you retarded?
Yes, this may be a chronically online take. However, this
it's not chronically online. That's like chronically normie
energy
take.
that's
I
coming
know.
out of Biden dropping out and Kamala stepping forward might propel her to the presidency. Kamala HQ is being run by either Gen Z or millennials. They're using the brat font. Kamala HQ is also here on TikTok, and these videos are getting millions and millions of views. A group of guys on the lake, on their boat, all have brat branded Kamala shirts. People
Oh my gosh, it's so organic.
are literally making fan edits of Kamala, and you may be thinking memes don't matter, like Twitter is a bubble and TikTok is a bubble. You could say that, but she also raised over $80 million. She's
Everybody knows memes matter since 2016, but they got to be real memes.
Yeah.
literally breaking records with the amount of donation she's gotten through Act Blue. And guys, I know the criticism of Kamala. She's a cop, she's a prosecutor, she's put people in jail, and those are extremely valid criticisms. However, she is a cop and Trump is a felon. Do you know how good that's going to be for fundraising and for just entertainment value and to get people
The kids will
involved
love
in
it.
politics? Americans are dumb as hell. They love entertainment. They will vote for the cop over the felon. She is
Wait a minute.
literally the perfect candidate to be.
Her big steel man for Kamala Harris is Americans are dumb as hell. She's like, no, it'll be fine. Americans are dumb.
It is why they work, or they think it happens. Oh my gosh. It's why they suck at everything.
Beat Trump, which is what most of us on the left want. If Trump can win with his cult of personality and the media firestorm that surrounded him to propel him to the presidency, this time, let it be Kamala. Let Kamala be the one that gets propelled to the presidency from brain rot memes.
Oh,
And as
no.
somebody who's worked in digital political strategy before, my thing has always been candidates need to lean into the memes versus opting out of the memes. It might seem safer to ignore all this online shit stirring that goes on, but I think if a campaign can really smartly lean into that, it's free advertising,
This
it's
is-
free marketing.
This is like explaining the joke. And another reason why they don't get it, they don't get the Donald. You know what I mean?
I know. Well, it's funny because, like I said, it was a little bit more difficult to see how dumb and insane she was, like when she was surrounded by other dumber and insaner people. But it now that she's like on her own, basically, it's obvious. I don't know. It's there. When I found out that Kamala Harris had went through 97% of her staff when she started
they've all quit on her
has
because they hate
quit
her.
by now.
Yeah.
When I found that out, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there was like some
this is
lady
an
who tried
unlikable
to
person.
defend her and then like quit like 2 months later too. Who would work with her? Like she had all of her staff quit on her. And
They asked that one lady, the Brianna Sanders, I think is her name, Simone Sanders. Like, oh, you worked for Kamala. Was she great to work for? And she just started like praising Biden, like just obviously not wanting to answer the question.
Amurdo says, ask Montel Williams about. We can't talk about that. We're not sexist. We're not sexist. We will not talk about blowjobs by Kamala Harris to get ahead in the world. We will not talk about this yet. Let's see. So let's see some more meme magic. Like this just cannot, like the Donald from 2016 that had to get banned off of everything.
He's
By these
scared.
same people. He's scared because of these types of memes. Fan edits. This is meme magic.
I'm with my own way and I made it. I'm your favorite reference, baby. Call me Debbie, yeah, you're so inside. Tectonic moves and make 'em shake you.
So that's like her song now. They call it the Kamala Nomenon.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And
You
so
can't even. You could make it shorter. You could call it like the Kalamenon or something. Like I don't know. That doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. This looks like the same quality. This is like 2005, like middle school editing
yeah,
music videos. Do you remember those like lyric videos that people would put up and like it had a wrong word?
And they're lying to everybody that people are like actually sharing it around. Like you
People
know
are
how like
so stoked on Kamala right now.
you know like how we like see memes. We saw so many memes around the assassination attempt, right? Which, by the way, I guess it just came out that kid has a bunch of lefty tweets that they finally found, or actually something on Gab. So, there goes the narrative on that one. But this stuff is like, I bet you nobody just like actually naturally saw this stuff. Like I had to dig up what people were claiming they were talking about. Like, so here's the explanation of the brat crap.
On Kamala Harris, Coconut Tree, Chapel Roan, Brat Talk. You need to watch this video. Basically, CNN correspondents trying to explain to the public and I guess to each other what brat is. And then they proceed to play a bunch of the Kamala Harris, Coconut Tree, Brat edits.
Kamala Harris appears to be leaning into this. The singer Charlie XCX tweeted last night, Kamala is brats. And this is in reference to her album. It's called Brat. Kamala has branded her Kamala HQ Twitter page with the same aesthetic of the album. That's another Gen Z word, aesthetic. It's even becoming a trend on TikTok.
Yes, it is. You shut up. The news just said so. It is so.
What can you tell us about?
So first of all, just for my producer Elizabeth Stewart, who will spit out her coffee as I say this, I am supposed to say that's brat. It has a color. Chartreuse is the color, and Kamala Harris has adopted that for whatever social media page that is. But I have brought some notes because I knew you would want a definition. Charlie XCX, who I do know, quote, brat, you're just that girl who is a little messy and likes to party and maybe says some dumb things sometimes, end quote.
So is the idea that
That's
we're all
what they're
kind of
trying to
brat
go with.
and Vice President Harris is Brad? I don't.
Well, right,
aspire
two
to
of
be
us,
Brad.
right,
You don't just become Brad.
Oh, okay. I will aspire to be Brad.
How can you compete with the memeing, man?
Jesus Christ, that was amazing. Has that retard never heard the word aesthetic before?
Well, that's a millennial word.
He says it's a Gen Z. What are you talking about? That word, whatever.
It's a millennial word, man. I'm telling you.
Radical, as the children are saying these days. That's sick, yo.
Radical. So, that's just a fan edit. Let me show you some chick who like maybe kinda. Oh, did I not save it? I didn't. There's some kind of maybe online TikTokers do kind of make okay memes out of it, but it's not really. It's still just kind of cringy crap. You know what I mean? Because of course they're trying to make it work. They're trying to make it happen. But and then there's a couple gals who just do incredible Kamala impersonations.
Oh, I know.
But let me see here. Dang it, I didn't share to myself the one that I meant to share.
They're embracing the cat lady thing too.
Yeah. Like
And
jumping into
funny
like
how
she has no kids, so she is a mom, and
they keep talking about how she's your fun aunt or whatever.
yeah.
And it's the fun aunt drinks wine too often,
Of course I had.
and
Okay,
you
the
wouldn't
right
even want her to drive the car. Like, there's no way you would want her to run the country. You want your fun aunt to be in charge of the country? What? No.
Here it is. I found one. Like, here's like a somewhat adept TikToker trying to make it something, but it still just isn't. I don't know. Here, you judge for yourself. I won't poison the well. Maybe you'll love it. Maybe you'll just love it.
I think we can all agree this is
This
very exciting.
How I imagine conversations at Kamala headquarters.
I think we can all agree this is a very exciting time. And thank you to the social media team. I mean, unbelievable stuff happening. Thanks. Yeah, no, it was easy with Brad Summer. Easy with say again? It's easy with Brad Summer and like Femininomenon and like Coconut Tree, obviously. I don't understand a word you just said, but I do understand enthusiasm. Yeah, like the best way to do that is with like fan edits. Now, is there any way you could explain the strategy to me? If you could get that to me by Thursday, that would be fantastic. Basically, the strategy is that like Kamala is mother, and not in the way that's like, oh, women only matter and they're only worth something if they are a mother, but it's just like she's mother. Sure, I am getting that. How many followers do we have again? We're north of 800K in like 2 days. We are. That is wow. Can we do some merch that just says like we exist in the context? Let's put in the order on the shirts. I don't know how your generation does it, but keep it up. Yeah, I mean, we just like care about other people. We care about each other. We want basic human rights, and we want to have a planet in 30 years. So
It could have been good, but then she does the we care about each other and basic human rights. What basic rights do you not have, dipshit? We just start. I had a list in like 2015 of the ever expanding things that I saw labeled as a human right. And the last thing I added to that list was the internet. And I gave up on it because I just got tired of pointing out how absurd all the things we were adding to that list was.
Yeah. Well, so that whole thing about she's not a mom, but she's got total mother vibes. Yeah, that's kind of leaning into pushing against JD Vance, because I guess JD Vance came out and said something about she's a cat lady or something like that. But you want to know who's really, really into her meme game? Thinks she's got great meme game?
Oh boy.
Are you excited to find out who thinks she's got great meme game?
Is it Nuanso?
It's Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes thinks her meme game is just.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? It is. I'm not going to lie. It is funny. Like, they have a better meme game than Trump. The Trump campaign's meme game sucks. Absolutely sucks. And you know what? Somebody was telling me this, and he's right. Kamala has adopted Brat. She's Brat now. She adopted the Charlie XCX album. If Trump was smart, he would have adopted the Yeet album. He would have adopted the whole Yeet aesthetic or something like that. Vultures, Yeet. They would have done something similar. Big problem with the GOP is that they're all so fucking lame. They are lame. Trump was the only cool one. Now he's like kind of a dork. You can't actually turn your nose up and say, rap music? That's for black people. Oh, you listen to that? That's for faggots. Like, you actually have to be high in openness to be creative. But yeah, Kamala should not be underestimated. W Brat. W Brat Summer. W Coconut.
Is he joking?
He just fell out of a...
He's not joking. I agree with What If Alt History right here. It says,
yeah, he's a Fed.
I never thought more that for sure this guy is for sure a Fed. The way he's like just suddenly changing, like this meme game is just up in the ante so hard.
I was seriously waiting for the punchline.
No, he really likes it. He really does think that their meme game's up and that Trump should have used him and Kanye, but if they got it like Kamala gets it. Fed. But
He glowing.
he's glowing. He was always glowing. Anyway, so I don't know. I don't know what else. Kamala, and then some of the stuff about Kamala, I kind of wanted to wait for Flip to pop up to
Which is
get
the
into it. But
racist way to say it? I can't remember. I think they said if you say
Kamala.
no, I think they said it's pronounced Kamala, but if you pronounce it Kamala, you're racist. That's what I can't remember who said that. It was Sonny Hoskins. It was some retard on The View, I think. I don't remember.
Here's a drawing. It's Steve's drawing of Unburdened by what has been Biden vote by Biden with Biden. I like the Marvel Bible hero.
It's got a McClellan reference there.
McClellan popped up at Comic-Con and people recognized him at Comic-Con. Oh wow.
What was the fit?
Some sort of Marvel-y thing. Guess what happened? I heard the very first rule of the review of who is it? Deadpool versus Wolverine. And guess what the story's about? Multi-universes. Guess what might happen with the multi-universes?
Female versions of all the heroes.
No, all the universes might blow up and die. Like once again, we talked about it before. Like if all the universes open up, it can only ever be one story, and that story is always all the universes will blow up. There's never any other story.
How do you up the ante past that? Because that's sort of been Marvel's issue, is that they keep trying to, if he doesn't stop this train and a bunch of people are going to die, if he doesn't stop Dr. Octopus, the whole town might get blown up. If he doesn't stop Loki, the whole Earth might be taken over. If he doesn't stop Thanos, half the universe will die. If they don't stop Kang, the whole universe will die. If they don't stop the Time Lords, then all of the universes will die.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you're like, shit, where do we go?
Yeah. There can only
more multiverses. There's several multiverses.
Yeah. So supposedly the lefties have like a new meme game going on. I want to pull up the meme and see if you can follow the meme. I just gotta find it real quick. Hold on a second here. So Richard Hanania claimed it. Oh wow, the left's memes are getting good again.
Oh, really?
Well, he claimed it. I can't poison the well again because I gotta see.
Okay,
it. Dang it, where'd it go? It's like a video. It wasn't a meme, but here it is. Okay, here it comes. Present, share the screen. So here it is. I regret to inform you the left's memes are getting good. JD Vance.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Keep on. My baby. Keep on doing it. Right on. Right on doing it. You got it together. Baby, keep on. Oh, you got it together. Baby.
Too long.
It's not gonna be any more than that, but
yeah, I know it's the same joke for 53 seconds. He fucked a couch when he was a kid or something, right? Like
that's the claim going around. They claim that he said that in Hillbilly Elegy, and
he was a hillbilly.
But it's just also not true. He didn't say it.
Oh, he didn't?
It's not in there at all.
I don't know, because I just assumed it was.
No.
And I was like, yeah, he's a hillbilly kid in Appalachia. I don't know.
It's not even in there. Like
That's
somebody
wild.
just said it online or something. But at the same time, like if you didn't hear that thing floating, like I saw this meme before I even heard the rumor. So I was like, I don't what is this? Like what's the and that's the number one thing with memes is like if you need them explained to you, they're not good memes. That's really it. I mean, let's see here. I don't even know where like the rumor started. Somebody will probably be able to like make like a know your meme generator at some point. So here's one of the chicks who does the good Kamala Harris coming across it.
What?
No,
What?
JD Vance did not have sex with a cat.
First off, what? Second, if you gotta say you didn't. Oh my God. Why is that happening? I don't need that today. Okay? Real. I thought this guy was supposed to be born. Real quick, do you think it was a pull-out couch? You know, I bet he just wanted more cushion for the pushing. Brings a whole new meaning to Pillow Queen. This is nasty. Why is that? Why is this it? It don't make sense.
That cat,
Okay.
Kamala gets in just for the career that she's got in front of her for it.
I know.
But, so Trump made this announcement that he's not going to debate her
Did he?
until, well, this is what he says. You read it? It just barely came
Crooked
out.
Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. I'm not going to do the voice. Crooked Joe Biden and the Democrat Party general election debate details cannot be finalized until Democrats formally decide on their nominee. There is strong sense by many in the Democratic Party, namely Barack Hussein Obama, that Kamala Harris is a Marxist fraud who cannot beat President Trump, and they are still holding out for someone better. Therefore, it would be inappropriate to schedule things with Harris because Democrats very well could still change their minds. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, well, you gotta change your minds, and if she fucks up the debate, maybe you'll change your mind again.
it's kind of meme level. It's kind of meme magic a little bit, but I mean, I guess it's just an announcement. So I don't have any clips of it anywhere, but JD Vance said somewhere that she's a cat lady who has no kids. And then, of course, all the women online freaked it out about it. And they said stuff like, Jesus didn't have any kids either. Boom. And other stuff like this gets explained to you.
Well, most people believe Jesus is God, so he had like billions and trillions of kids, right?
Yeah. Women don't owe the world children. They don't owe babies. And they don't owe you an explanation.
Right. I know, right?
Dang, I wanted to bring up Flip's conversation with the pro-abortion person, but he's not here. We'll bring it up.
We'll wait till he gets here, or we can do it. I don't care.
No, I'll wait for it. But I wonder if he's listening.
I had this great I don't know, this moment with myself today because growing up and even into adulthood, I kind of just accepted the whole argument of I don't wear this to look good for men. I wear it for me because it's what makes me comfortable. You know, like I remember hearing that growing up because anytime somebody would ask, why is she wearing such a short skirt? She'd be like, I don't wear it for men. Okay. I don't choose my wardrobe for you. I wear it because it's comfortable. And I was like, well, I guess maybe. I've never worn a skirt. I don't think it looks super comfortable. Why is she wearing booty shorts? It's because it's comfortable and I like it. Like, well, okay, maybe, you know. Why is she walking around in like skin tight booty shorts and a bra? It's what makes me comfortable. And I'm getting closer and closer to being like, I don't know if I believe you. And then I'm like driving home today and I see this lady jogging and she's in a sports bra. And not only are they booty shorts, but they're the Brazilian butt lift ones. You know those pants? Yeah. They're the ones that not only do they show off every curve, it's like it goes into your ass crack.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
it goes into your ass crack. And
that's the gym all day, every day nowadays.
I know. I just started laughing my ass off and hearing just like the last decade and a half of women just saying, I wear it because it's comfortable. I was like, no, you can't make that argument anymore, okay? Because right now, that is so tight, I can see the wrinkles in your butthole. All right, that thing is disgusting, and it's sticking up your ass. We punish people with wedgies. You understand that? That's how we bully and torment people, is by shoving fabric into their ass crack. And you're doing it and saying, that's what makes me comfortable. No, you want men to stare at your ass, and you want to get mad at them for staring at your ass.
Oh, Flips here just in time. We were just talking about your interaction with the pro-choice lady. What does your name say? The Kamala. You're on the Kamala Lala train. Have you been memed into it?
Yeah.
You just couldn't
You
fight
guys
that
get it?
meme
It's a
magic?
song. It's because I wrote a song. I've got her theme song for you. Kamala la 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 la.
Ah, we covered earlier because
We
you know,
have
like
Coach write a terrible song about how Trump's a Nazi.
you know that one of the things that we already covered is that she does have a song from some pop artist that's called like the Kamala of Namanon. Yeah, and that meme magic is the first time a president might get memed into the presidency, according to them.
Yeah, can you believe that?
Did you already
getting memed into presidency?
Yeah,
wouldn't that be crazy if that happened?
I'm guessing you guys already talked about just like the absolute irony that this might be the least democratic of all Democratic candidates ever.
We haven't actually said that yet, no.
Oh, have you? Oh, because she's never had more than 10,000 people vote for her for any one thing. She sex affaired her way into her job. She should have been, just I'm not saying prison or anything like that. It's like, no, okay, you don't get to have a life in public service anymore. You broke one of the cardinal rules. Like that it's funny. It's like, yeah, Trump got convicted of paying a lady off to not bring it up. And meanwhile, like, it's how she got her job.
Yeah,
that's why they keep saying like a convicted felon versus a cop type stuff. And it's because of he was just supposedly it was a felony to have a lawyer pay money to a person, which he was never even really a part of. Like, the lawyer did it. Yeah. The lawyer took it upon himself to pay that person to stay quiet. And
and at the heart of all of this, what they are claiming at the heart of it is that it is fraud for you to pay off someone so they do not reveal a sexual affair. It's okay for you to pay them off as long as for a sexual affair, as long as you put it in the books, you label it paying her off.
There has to be. That's the situation where there has to be a second reason why you did the payoff that is also illegal. And that's the area where that judge said, you can pick any one of these 3 possible theories we lay out in front of you. And he gave him like, well, maybe it's because of this, maybe because it's that, maybe it's because of this, or some sort. Like, they didn't like directly connect it to any sort of felonious act. And they just said, here's 3 possible options. And then you can choose which one of them you want to decide if it does meet the 2 criteria or not. But once again, I mean, I guess we saw Dan McCallion say, oh my gosh, Trump, the convicted felon, and they're going after Kamala for her sex stuff. Oh my gosh. But really, the honest truth of it is Trump's not any sort of convicted rapist at all, but they've both done just as shady sex stuff. And so once again, you're just right back to same boat, which is just seems like that's just an eternal thing that you can't get past unless you choose Mitt Romney. Aaron Sorkin said the Democrats should have picked Mitt Romney for.
Wow.
Aaron Sorkin, the right of the wet job. I'll pull that up. I have that somewhere.
Did you ever think that flipping the bird would become one of the most cringy things ever? Like, it's never as cool as people thought it was. It's
yes. I mean,
but
sometimes
now it's every single. Well, every single the cast of The Boys ruined it. I'm serious. Every picture of the cast sitting together, they're flipping the camera off.
Oh, really?
It's so bloody cool. We don't fucking give a fuck, innit?
Yeah.
Oh, Homelander, I raped my wife. Ain't it?
I mean, it's pretty safe to say that everything that was once cool in the 80s and 90s is now as dorky as I don't know, saying groovy was in the 80s and 90s, and maybe it'll come back like groovy came back.
I need to stop saying the F word so much.
You ever
That's-
seen, like-
that's getting cringy?
I haven't seen the whole thing, but I've seen just the first scene of Charles Bronson, 70s guy on a vengeance, a whole series of them. What's it called? Oh, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Bronson, Charles Bronson, $1 Million Man.
No, there's a whole
that's
series of it's about the vigilante justice movies. Oh my gosh, why? I can't
Yeah, and Bruce Willis made a remake of it like 2 years
Death
ago.
Wish.
Death Wish.
No, yes, no,
that's right.
Death Wish. Oh yeah, is it Death
Yeah.
Wish? Yeah, but like, because the beginning of that movie, like, starts with I think it's a famous. Is it Jeff Goldblum? It leads a gang of rapists, and it just starts with a brutal rape and murder of a woman, like Charles Bronson's wife. Like, this is the thing that sets the whole series off, and like I mean, it's 1970s, but like it's scary. Like, it's really
the dude taking into his own hands. The law,
but like,
because-
there's no way you could even portray that nowadays like they do. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm trying to find. I had the Aaron.
Is it Death
That-
Wish?
I
There might be
found it.
another one.
It's Death Wish for sure.
Because there was a couple of
and then look up Bruce Willis remade it like 2 years ago, and the remake got just as much controversy. Like, how dare you talk just like exactly what you're saying? They noticed that you shouldn't be saying that. And
Well, at some point, we just decided that rape was worse than murder. Like, because we show murder constantly, I remember watching this thing where, like, there was a guy trying to argue that rape was worse than murder. Like that, and the dude was arguing with him, stops for a second. He's like, hang on a second. Gun to your head right now. Or you get raped or you get shot.
yeah,
Because
then you have to live with the thought.
I know. Well, he thought about it. He thought about it. And he's like, well, okay, I guess I'd rather get raped than shot. But
that's the thing. Like, I thought was so
really bad.
fascinating.
It's like, yeah, we all agree that it's really, really bad.
That's basically the center of the bear or man debate in the woods.
People would believe me if a bear mauled me. It's like, I would rather be raped than mauled by a bear. That's such an easy choice for me.
I was always because I remember having this thought way back when playing Grand Theft Auto. Where it's like, because like, of all the horrible evil, like, because in that game, like, the whole point is the most misanthropic thing ever. And it's just about super criminals that have no regard for anything, just destruction and wanton destruction, all that. Anyway, like, there's no rape and there's no children, and it's just kind of interesting. Where it's like, that's funny where that's the line, and like, to be clear, like, I'm not advocating for, nor would I want to play a version of Grand Theft Auto where rape was a button. And
I guess it's not
I'd
rape.
be really worried about somebody who does. Yeah, no, there's prostitution.
Consent.
Yeah, no, that's consent.
That's the difference between Trump, because like they keep saying Trump wanted to grab women by the pussy. They always leave the part out where he says "let." And I heard about this thing called the handshake. It was oh gosh, it's one of those cities in Arizona. Name the big cities in Arizona, not Phoenix.
Scottsdale.
That's it. The Scottsdale handshake. You got it on the first one. The Scottsdale handshake is supposedly this thing that like all these women will go up to rich guys and kind of expect them to grab them by the pussy or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
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 That was such a weird thing when I heard that. Like when I first heard him say that, I was more like bewildered. I was like, is that anyone's foreplay? Like, you ever just walk up? Like, even if you're like dating and sexually active with a woman, you ever just walk up to her and just, like, what's she gonna do to that? She's gonna be like, oh yeah. She's probably gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing?
It's the old Norm Macdonald joke.
I get,
hey,
like,
Donald
the
Trump, quit stealing my moves.
Well, I get the slap her ass or whatever. Like, say, but just, what? I don't know.
That's funny. So here it is. Aaron Sorkin wrote The West Wing, and he wrote that news thing with Jeff, what's his name from Dumb and Dumber, but now he's a smart.
Jeff Daniels.
All of Aaron Sorkin's stuff is such like lefty porn. It's like lefty. It's The West Wing in that it's just like Lefty, it's you remember that rant that Jeff Daniels goes
Jeff
on and
Daniels
he just,
did, where I
reposted
remember that.
and reposted that and
Well, I remember seeing it, and the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's like he's doing both sides. And then I thought about it for a second. I was like, he didn't really do both sides. The only thing he complained about on the left was that they don't win.
I always hated his shows because like I only watched like a couple episodes, but I just couldn't stand how everybody in it was overly ready to say the perfect thing right now and too fast. Like it just felt wrong every single time I watched all of them. But he says the Democrats should have put up Mitt Romney. There it is. Like, right. He wrote an opinion piece. I think that was in Politico that the Dems should have put up.
But he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Like he's actually not wrong. That would probably win them the election.
Yeah. And so then here's this. If you can be a felon and be a president, they need to remove felon off of all job applications, land applications, and professional certifications. If the highest position in the land can be taken by a felon. I mean, at the same time, like I actually have always kind of agreed with that. Like I always thought, like if people are kind of free, unless it's like you have a past of doing rapey stuff and you're trying to work around kids or something like that. Other than that, if you're free, you should be like all those NFL players who, if the guy's out of jail, he should be able to play in the dang NFL, you know, or go back to jail. If he's not good enough for the NFL, he should be in jail. You know, all ladies for Harris 2024. They're leaning into it, man.
Yeah, they do keep trying to lean into the cringe, and it's very hilarious to watch because I don't know. There's certain things you can lean because that's the whole Chad yes meme.
Yeah.
You know, that's you leaning into what they're accusing you of, but what they're accusing you of is just abject cringe.
It's kind of It's
like
kind of funny because like
I mean, she's saying that whole unburdened by what can be or whatever. So they lean into that. It's like you're leaning into something that sounds really fucking dumb.
It is funny in the sense of it is like they kind of learned the internet a little bit. Like you're supposed to lean into the memes and you're supposed to lean into some sort of like negative thing. Like Brat, I can be Brat. I think you weren't here for it yet, but there's a whole thing flip where Kamala is going with Brat and Brat Summer. And part of Brat Kamala is I say stupid things sometimes. So it's like she's leaning into the meme saying, yeah. But
we'll talk about how she's fun at parties and she drinks too much, and there's like people actually speculating, like, is she drunk?
Yeah, Scott Adams says that 90%. Anytime you hear a weird quote from her, it's because she was drunk.
I actually, I kind of would buy that because seriously, her
he stands by it. Like
he does. I know but her debate performances in 2020 looked quite a bit better than most of what she's done. Like for her entire vice presidency, it's like she won the vice presidency and she's like, oh fuck yeah, now I can do whatever.
Yeah, she literally had real reports from lefty media, not just that she lost all of her staff because she was an a-hole, but they were reporting that she was playing more solitaire than anything. They really did report.
I saw that.
Mark Hamill might have the cringiest post in history right here. It's kind of small up in the corner right there. He says, the emotional whiplash between Joe's withdrawal on Saturday to realizing we're going to elect the first woman of color as our next president is probably the closest you'll ever get to knowing what it feels like to make the jump to hyperspace.
I don't. So he does. He does generally out cringe George Takei, but I don't think anybody out cringes Ron Perlman, who is back on Twitter now.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
Yeah. I didn't know he was an idiot. When did that start?
Oh my god, no, he's insane. He has the funniest tweets ever. You got to go back and look at his tweets from, like, he talks about how he found out Harvey Weinstein was going to be in the building and he was supposed to shake his hand. So I went in to the bathroom and I pissed all over my hands and I shook that son of a bitch's hand. Everyone's like, what? It's all shit like that. Like his Elon Musk one was the hey Elon, what was it? Is your vision as tight as your sphincter?
Wow.
I have no idea. It's amazing. It's all like poo poo pee pee stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, he's terrible.
I had no idea. I liked him so much. I remember the first because I didn't know who he was, and the first time I ever saw him in anything was he was in The City of Lost Children. which is one of my favorite movies ever. Man, I need to revisit that.
He's a good
I haven't watched
actor.
that in a while. Yeah, and he's just so great.
I
had no
remember
idea he
watching
was
him in
a
that
good guy.
TV series Beauty and the Beast in the 80s, man.
Whoa, that's a deep
Yeah, I
cut.
saw that one. Yeah.
He was great in Hellboy, partially because they probably had to do very little makeup to make him look like a fucking demon.
Yeah.
People supposedly like him in Sons of Anarchy, but you want to know? I have a theory about those shows. Like Sons of Anarchy, Justified, all those shows. Like there was like 10, 15 years of shows. You can even put Breaking Bad in them that was suddenly in the era of we can't put the Islamic people as the baddies. And so they have like 5 or 6 series where it's like they need just an endless zombie attack of white supremacists in the country, just millions of white supremacists everywhere. And I think those shows single-handedly made people pretty sure that the entire Southwest of the United States is basically just roaming gangs of white supremacists. Yeah, because
I think
that's
it's
got to be
funny
the
is
bad
like
guy.
when you watch Back to the Future, and like to kids, you have to explain to them like, why are there Libyan terrorists with plutonium? Like there's like 8 years in the 80s where like that was you can make Libyans the bad guys, and now like everyone's like, what? Since when? You know?
Yeah. Anyway, kind of going to what you're saying about like rapists and stuff. I know we always talk about like everybody's got some sort of like rapist in their history or something like that. But one of the things that's come up a whole lot is that Kamala Harris has slavery in her very recent history. I think it was just her grandfather. And
the Indian side?
Yeah, on her Indian side and her Jamaican side.
Oh,
and,
yeah, no, she's got a double whammy then.
Yeah, and she's hardly like African American at all. She's Caribbean and Indian, and of course they've like played like both sides all along because she was the first Asian person.
They're trying to make her into Jenny from the Block, like
Yeah.
Well, African American was always kind of just a stupid phrase. I remember hearing an interview with Idris Elba talking about how often he gets called African American. And
Yeah.
he's like,
I've never been to America.
I've never lived in America and I've never lived in Africa. I don't know why you're saying those things.
Yeah.
It just means your skin is black. Just say black. That's what you mean.
And anyway, like I saw all these people online going, all you whiteys have slavery and they're like, once again, this is like that leftist. You remember like that stuff came up where they vastly overestimated how many blacks were killed every single year by cops. They vastly overestimated all these different things. And one of the things they vastly overestimate is how many of us actually have slavers in our history. Like vastly overestimate. No, we do not have slavers in our history.
Yeah, I have very little. I don't think I have any. I don't think I'm any % Jewish. So the possibility that my ancestors were slavers just goes
down by half
astronomically.
Goes down by half. Yeah.
Like, and when you mentioned that, when you talk about when they ask people, they overestimated how many unarmed black people are shot by cops. And it's not like, the real answer is 500 and they guessed 1,000. Like, no, the real answer is 10 to 20 consistently every year for a couple of decades now, at least. And people were guessing 10,000, 50,000, right? Like, it's like if we were to ask,
it's even worse than when Matt Walsh said that there were millions of kids being trans.
Yeah. No, but like, it's literally like, if I asked you like, well, how far do you think it is from here to Provo? And you go 180,000 miles. Like that's how far off people are. Now the thing is like, and that's not an accident. I know this is
and that's how far off they are, how many white supremacists are out there. That's how off they are about that.
This is a direct result and the intended result of decades of propaganda. Literally.
Well, and also
this is why people believe this, even though it's wrong.
Well, when we were talking about this morning, it always blows my mind. The ones that cause riots are like your George Floyd's, your Michael Brown's, and your Jacob Blake's. Like Jacob Blake sexually assaulted a woman and was kidnapping someone and was going for a knife in his car when he was shot.
Was in
Michael Brown
in the act of violating a domestic protective order.
Yeah, Michael Brown was like reaching for the cop's gun, trying to kill and beat the shit out of the cop.
Yeah.
And then you've like you only riot over the ones that were justified.
No,
And then
yeah,
we
no.
just the other day we have that lady who like had boiling water on the stove. The cops say, "Hey, can you turn that off? We don't want to start a fire." She goes to turn it off. The cop backs away. She says, "Why are you backing away?" He said, "I want to get away from you and that boiling oil." And he laughed, and so she kind of laughed and made a joke too. She's like, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." I'm like, "Put the fucking thing down! Put it fucking down!" And she goes, "Oh shit, sorry." And she starts like shrinking, and they just blast
So,
her.
According,
like,
okay,
It does look like she probably started throwing the
I'm
pan, but
gonna
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think that's
give
a
the
shooter.
I'm gonna give the defense as best as I can see it here, because ultimately, I think the cop is at fault. Although I think this might be one of those lawful but awfuls. Although they've charged him with murder, but here's one factor: is so I think that I heard in reports, I might be wrong about this, but that the lady's a schizophrenic, like according to the family, maybe not. She
That's
sure
what
off,
Dr. Grande said that.
she sure comes off as schizophrenic just in that little bit, right?
Mm.
The other thing is that like a lot of people are like, oh, what's the big deal? And one thing is that I think that the body cams are fisheye lenses, so they tend to really expand space, and so they're a lot closer than they look. And so I can see why someone might consider a pan of boiling water a serious threat. Because the other thing is like, because that whole house was like 1,000 square feet and it had 2 bedrooms that we don't see, right? This is a small space, you know? So like, just that, like, I can understand it being a threat just because like they don't really have very far to go, and you can throw scalding water many feet. Okay.
No, I
And then
understand that, but
yeah.
what I saw was her hands up, shrinking down to the floor.
So
So some
according to
people
Grande,
slowed it.
some
They
people
slowed
say
it way down. They slowed it way down. You can see like under his arm that the pan's turned over like it was in his direction. So it did look like, but she seemed so far away, but it did like she looked like she did toss, like make some sort of movement like that at the last second. But I don't think it's a good reason to shoot. But
yeah, well, because and here's the other. This is the thing is like, I think that the cop doesn't know what rebuke means. Like, I think that's a big part of this. But also, here's the other thing that, like, factors we don't know. Like, and this is super speculation. We don't know that this isn't the first time that they've been called out there, and they know they're dealing with a lady with schizophrenia. You know, we don't know that they don't know about, like, this lady has made violent threats before. You know, could be, if not, what, you know. I mean, even if so, it might not change all that much. But yeah, just I don't know. Like, these things are tough because, like, this is one where it's like, oh my god, that looks awful. But I've also seen so many of these where, and also
the
just seen
Breonna Taylor one looked pretty awful until it didn't.
Yeah, well, and that like we didn't even have body cam for that. That was all just report. You know,
I know.
This is one where we actually have the camera. Yeah, I don't know. Like, this is one where, like, I don't know. Like, I could see it as a lawful but awful. I don't think the guy first degree murder. That there's no way. Like, they got to stop doing that to cops. I don't know, but it's just sad. It's awful. But here's the like, I don't know. Like, this is the thing about schizophrenia. If you have schizophrenia, you have a 50% chance of dying a natural death. Like, this is how schizophrenics die. You know, they kill themselves, they drink themselves to death, they walk into traffic, and they do stupid shit in front of cops. Because, like, here's the other thing where everybody's going like, oh, why is that cop so stupid? Why is that lady so stupid? The gun came out. Put the fucking thing down.
I thought she put it down.
She doesn't.
No,
She
you can see it. Like,
he says,
some
I
people
rebuke you
slowed
in the
it
name
way
of Jesus.
down. It's hard to see because his hands are out, but like his hands kind of go up, and it like you see her underneath it, and she had turned the pan up like this way. You see that at the very end of it. But
yeah,
I don't think, like, I will be on the side of the people of that one, like saying, "What the hell, cop? Come on," you know. But like I agree with it. But that's the thing with like those 20 incidences every single year. Out of those 19 of them are very explainable, and there's maybe one or two that are like this, where it's like, okay, well, this ain't great. You know?
I mean, if there's anywhere where like the lesson of poker applies, it's in police work, because like police work is extremely high stakes. You know, like, fucking up has serious results. You know, and police work, just like poker, is one of those things where just because you did everything right doesn't mean you don't lose badly. Like
Yeah.
police work is one of those things where you can do all the things, you can follow all the training, you can make all the best judgments, and still everything goes fucking horrible.
Yeah. But I don't know. Speaking of like, I don't know how stuff's viewed and how everybody gets kind of like whipped up into situations. I talked to my parents about this whole thing, and they're just like perfect little MSNBC bots, and I love them to death. But they were just like, I came and told them like, so I hadn't talked to them in a while about it, and I was like, well, what do you guys like think about Biden going? And like, well,
so brave.
he wasn't doing too well, so they got rid of him. Like, yeah, that whole debate didn't go well at all. And my mom goes, well, he does have a stutter. And I go,
Oh my God.
And like there's so often like stuff just like my brain breaks. And then my dad says it's just got to be anybody but Trump. And I don't think they'd quite yet announced the change yet. This is like Saturday or something like that. And but everybody was like talking about it and all those sorts of things. My dad says it's just got to be anybody with Trump. It could be like Gavin Newsom or something like that. And once again, it's like
God.
Gavin Newsom. Like if you have like an aesthetic and personal, Crowder did a good episode today. Like we also covered it last week, but Crowder did a Biden's a terrible piece of shit, and he even had more things than Glenn Greenwald did. And and once again, it's just like you can dislike Trump. It's just all you are getting is other Trumps, like as far as a moral person goes.
Also, Gavin Newsom is bad enough that I would have voted Biden.
Yeah.
Even now, if it came between Gavin Newsom and Biden, I'd probably vote Biden. That's how evil he is. I don't know. I guess Biden doesn't have a mind. I guess you do need a figurehead with a mind. I don't know. It's tough for me to think of somebody who I would vote Biden over.
So then I asked my dad, I'm like, well, what are you guys like so afraid of with Trump or something like that? And my dad goes, he said he'd be a dictator. And I said, what? He said he would be for like a day to undo all the executive orders. Like, yeah,
which is what Biden did.
Yeah.
He
said,
Biden.
well, Ukraine will lose if Trump gets in. And I go, well, what? Like that's the next thing. That's the next thing on your list. Like I saw somebody notice like you hardly see Ukraine flags out there anymore. Like it's people are already kind of like, who gives a shit about this anymore? And it was just kind of shocking to me that they just, and I'm more than positive if I drive over there right now, they're just going to be like, Harris. You know that it just turned out that she was like always the best all along. Have you heard this? Have you seen this? Have you heard this? And one of the reasons, like, I mean, because we're ostensibly a niche Mormon podcast thing, and I wanted to like show this video that went around of this kid who, well, I'll show you the video. It's pretty short. Is that a kid in the room?
What's that?
You got a kid in the room?
No, I told him to go talk to mom.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so check this.
I'm the man of the house. I shouldn't be dealing with kids and shit.
So this guy kind of makes little local TikToks, like it's Mormon, ex-Mormon kind of normie takes, which Stacker dropped a whopper of a lukewarm take today. I don't know if things can get lukewarmer. Like how do you get maximal lukewarm? Like what's maximal middle? Like how?
Oh,
anyway.
I'm trying to think of the most lukewarm.
What's the maximum lukewarm? Like what degrees is maximum lukewarm?
I don't know. You can't get much more lukewarm than I disavow slavery. Well, I guess that's not lukewarm. That's just virtue signaling.
This is the lukewarm Mormon take.
Lukewarm Mormon.
This is the first take you had when you were 10 years old. Let's see here. But anyway,
maybe everybody's God. Maybe everybody talks to God, even though they're not in the Mormon church when they pray to their God. I don't know. That's
actually let me see if you guys can do Stacker's take.
The name of the church is a little cumbersome.
That's a good one. Yeah, you got the wavelength. You got the wavelength. Okay, but the subject was word of wisdom. What's the lukewarmest take about word of wisdom?
Meat.
What? How'd you get that?
Meat.
Don't eat too much meat, and
How'd
only
you
in
land
time
on
of
that?
famine.
Wait a minute here. Let's see here. The word of wisdom says to eat meat sparingly, yet you can eat as much as you want. Whoa, that's the first line. How did you get
Wow.
that? The word of wisdom says to drink mild. And it's just the stuff of like, oh my gosh, you noticed that the word of wisdom is kind of ski-wumpus? Thank you for the Twitter take. We finally got somebody speaking out loud. The jester is finally able to speak in court. Oh, we got you. Like, thanks, dude. So this kid who just kind of gives Twitter lukewarm stuff, like, went viral with this. Like, this take went viral. Like, it went all over Twitter.
You're not playing anything. We're still on the childless cat ladies.
Oh, I didn't show you the stacker post.
No, it's.
I'll go back to it just to show.
Well,
that
you
that's
read
actually what he said. That is what he said, though. But here it comes.
So you seem unsettled by something. I mean, it makes no sense why members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints even support this guy. He seems to go against everything they stand for. I mean, he's shown that he lies in order to spin false narratives. He's a convicted criminal, committed fraud. He cheated on his wife with numerous women and sexually assaulted young teenage girls.
What's the twist coming up?
Wait. Sexually assaulted young teenage girls?
He's got a picture
we
of
talked
him.
about this last week. Like, even Snopes debunked this like 7 years ago. You know.
Huh.
You haven't heard this one, but what's the twist coming up?
I mean, he's clearly just comparing him to Joseph Smith.
What? You could have gone viral, Jared. That's twice you could have gone viral. You could have gone viral with a lukewarm word of wisdom take, and you could have gone viral.
And then he wanted to destroy the freedom of press when they tried to expose him. And that the reason for all his legal problems are because of persecution. He claims to be the chosen one, even thinking so much of himself, he even wrote his own version of the Bible. And his supporters believe he's second only to Jesus. I know, but you have to understand that Joseph Smith only did those things because he... Wait, what? No, I was talking about Donald Trump. But now that you mention it, it now makes complete sense.
Oh, wow.
Tell us one.
Is that worth a good 28,000 views right there?
Yeah, well, he actually commented back to me because I told him, like, you kind of give away like why gish galloping is not such a great thing, because several of your Trump things are gish gallops there.
Yeah,
you know,
you're not true.
Yeah, and so what are you to take with that? If it's, hold on a second here, look who's coming in, dude.
Do you want to see? Oh! Do you want to see my lukewarm ex-Mormon take that I remembered?
It's the insensitive prankster.
I'll send it to the group.
I want you to get that tattooed in like gangster font on your chest. Insensitive prankster.
I sent it to the Kwaku group. So since we're talking about lukewarm Mormon takes, it was a TikTok that Morgan made years ago.
She made an insensitive take.
Well, no, it was me talking. I was making a joke about because my favorite.
You were being lukewarm.
I have to
Not
log
really.
into TikTok. I have to log into TikTok to see it. Hold on a second.
To log into TikTok.
Yeah,
you guys like TikTok used to let me watch stuff, and now I can't do it anymore.
It's a terrible app. Every time
I picks and chooses when I can and can't.
I know.
Like, I don't know. I eat at Chinese restaurants, so I'm sure the CCP already has all of their biological data on me they need. So they don't need me to be on TikTok.
So what's with has been? Were you called has been by somebody? Is this about the apology?
No. I'm unburdened.
Oh. Do you guys see my take on the unburdened thing?
What is that?
I eat breakfast unburdened by what I had for dinner.
Let's see. I'm trying to real quick just try to save it in a different way here, but
that's all good. We can watch it later.
So what's going on, Jonathan? You wanted to chime in on a presidency stuff?
No, I can't. I had an evening where I had some time available. I figured I'd just work on the thumbnail for Troy's and my.
You're doing another one.
So you're all about steel manning. Tell us why we should all vote for Kamala Harris.
Well, actually, I've been playing around with this cool tool. This is a new AI application that does deep fakes really, really quickly, really easily, and really transparently. And so you can.
Are you doing Kevin?
What was that? Was that Kevin?
That's what I saw. I was wondering what the hell was up with that.
Better. I needed to make myself look
Kevin's
better.
watching.
There it is.
Oh my gosh, it is Kevin.
Kevin in the chat. Did you deep fake my face?
That's amazing.
Oh,
We
I
don't
saw
need
it
Kevin
flash.
anymore.
I saw it flash earlier.
That's crazy.
So what's funny
You
is
got to
like,
choose
you
the
go back-
handsome one.
Yeah, why did you deep fake my face, asshole?
Oh no, I did. I was like, let's see. I want to look like
we can make Kevin say ex-Mormon stuff on here, and now we got 4 ex-Mormons.
Say Joseph Smith was a pedophile. We're gonna send it to Kevin's family.
Oh goodness gracious!
I don't even like it. You can only say wholesome things when you look this good.
Yeah.
So, you know. But you know, if you want to try for the baby face, this is,
Good Lord.
You look retarded.
Hi, guys. Hello, fellow youths.
Let's hear. Hello, fellow youths. Let's hear you doing Jared doing Jordan Peterson.
Nobody can do. Then you have the older, more mature Jared.
Oh, you have different Jareds.
Well, it's actually really interesting. You just get a folder of pictures,
It looks so much like you're him talking.
This is upsetting.
Whatever pictures you select, it like will use AI to like immediately transform them.
Oh, and your face is like rotating through him. It's like something out of like
is that
Running
Rufo?
Man or
not
Total
Rufo.
Recall.
Matt, is
It's
that
Total
Matt?
Yeah,
Recall.
no, like in Total
What is
Recall.
that? What is that?
It looked like
That's
Matt.
a Jared, but it's not really
a subtler Jared.
Yeah.
Do you have a Rusty?
Let me tell you a little bit about that Brazilian wine. It was built by a small community of former Nazis who immigrated to Brazil.
Hold on. Let's get a booze
You gotta get the
corner
card.
from. Yeah, hold on. I'm almost got it.
Wait.
I always feel like in Arrested Development when he's like late for the chicken dance with the thing. Wait! I got it. Caw. And they already left. But so where is it? There it is.
This is what I would look like if I was a decade older and had far less testosterone.
See, instead of 2 wines, we got 2 flips. I'm gonna leave it down just for a second,
funny.
just to the 2 flips on the screen. Hold
That's magical. The hand does weird things.
This is me from the future. You need to ditch this crowd as soon as possible. They will be your downfall.
That's too late.
Love
I'm
your
on a train.
cats. Ditch the guys. No.
I feel like we're getting like Acolyte spoilers here. Like it's,
Wait, I don't even.
the Acolyte has twins in it, and it turns out the twins are they're the same.
It's
They
just
share
one
the same
person?
soul. Yeah,
It's
No,
a
you're
Horcrux
spoiling it.
situation.
You're spoiling it.
I spoiled it. Were you gonna watch it? It's spoiled.
I can tell you that he's not watching.
It's terribly addicting.
You have been watching it?
No. I'm saying
The
skinwalking. Skinwalking.
This thing.
What other faces? It's
Yeah,
so
let's
weird.
see it.
Well,
Keep 'em
basically,
coming.
You want to know
lore
what?
that any lore that I've trained, I
So
can
I
do.
was we finally got to talk to John.
Oh, he's ready to
You
hear
know,
from his
guys,
critic.
Hey, how super excited are you to be here?
I'm super duper excited. Let's see.
This is
All
why
right,
I
let's
said the other day on Lobsters, and I don't think people got it, that like all those deep fakes going on in the entire media were all Jonathan Streeter. Like I'm onto the deep state. Like we got the deep state right here. He's doing all of it.
Is this a
See if you can
super
recognize this.
special episode?
That's
Disturbing. This is really disturbing, actually. It's a little bit morbid.
I know that guy, but that's a Jim Jones, one of the.
Yeah, it's one of the cult leaders, Marshall
Cult leaders.
Applewhite.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Doe.
How did you?
Well, it's interesting.
Like,
You
how
can
did you get enough?
basically-
Like his face is really trained in there. Like, how did you get enough angles of that one?
Well, what it does is it takes the default and then there's AI projects that will take a basic face at any resolution and then it will upscale it.
Oh my gosh.
To good detail. And
We're
so
over. Like
even
that
if you-
stuff's. It's so real. Oh my gosh, Dieter F. Hoopdorf.
Good lord.
Some people think that the moon is a hologram, and they could also think that
Dieter.
my face is a hologram. Yeah.
Are you gonna donate to Kamala too?
Tell us a story about airplanes.
Well, that was the time that I was flying an airplane. And then the engine caught on fire and it fell. I have no good joke. It's funny. It's like you can get the jolly Dieter, and then like he has that picture that he took of himself in front of the concentration camp, and it's like got him with a serious face, and so it like changes the tone of the face. But if you take that one out, it's a lot happier.
You want to know what's wild about this is that like this is right in the middle of all these different people being very, very doubtful that Biden's not full AI right now because he suddenly just disappeared. He suddenly announced Kamala. He was gone for several days, and then some other people were talking about like CIA masks that they could do, and it seems like he's taller than he used to be in there. And it's a time more than ever where it seems like it could be real. We could be living in that full Running Man world right now where they got Arnold to do a crime just by putting his face on somebody else.
Does it break the universe if you feed this program a picture of yourself?
Is that Russell M. Nelson? You did 2 Russell M. Nelsons?
Like, what
if you become double? Like that's full Baudrillard. Like you would be like
no. Flip your question is totally spot
beams
on.
of light come out, you'll just turn into a rainbow.
Super hyper reality. That's super hyper reality double Jonathan.
It's your final
Okay,
form.
so hold on. I'm gonna do this. So the thing is though, you can like if you had like let's say I had a big scar on my face, right? Well, I could get a picture of myself without the scar and then put it there and then clean it up basically. So if this is a picture of me, a couple of pictures of me. Hold on. So the thing is,
do you have any baby pictures of
clean?
What's crazy is like
I
I remember you tried to do this like a year ago, and you had some sort of like problems of like if you were popping up on somebody else's screen to do it, and now you're just breezing through them.
Well,
like
the thing is
nothing.
too is the audio synced? Like is my mouth off on the audio?
No, like if you move quickly when you move your hand
looks
around,
a little bit
any
weird.
of that, it goes weird.
This is double face.
Yeah, I give myself.
Oh yeah, there was.
It does look a little bit weird.
You go in and out of beard.
I can make it a little bit stronger.
We're gonna have to be watching like all presidential figures to see like their facial hair if it flashes in and out to different shapes to see if we're seeing the actual guy.
Well, the other thing too is some people are afraid. Like, so this is so responsive. I can just say like, let's say I want to imitate a girl. So I can like, who's a popular girl?
Billie Eilish.
Maven.
If you want to imitate a girl, you're trans.
No. I'm just saying.
Do
like,
a black one so we can
Wait,
get.
you
black
got to give me
plates
one
later.
that for sure has fetal alcohol syndrome because I'm just obsessed.
Halle Bailey.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Okay, Taylor Joy. So I'm just searching on the internet for Taylor Joy, going to images. I'm gonna select high resolution images to make sure that I get a good quality image. So I'll go size large, and then I'll just find like a decent image of her, and then I will save the image as, and let's see. Well, I don't think it does WPs, so I need to do a JPEG. So here,
It's gonna
talk
do it
amongst
this
yourselves.
If you did a
Well,
if
that's
you
the
did a
thing
black-
is when I tried to do it originally, it was something where you had to collect hundreds of images in multiple different lightings, and you had to train it literally for like 30 plus hours. And
that's what I remember you having to do.
Yeah, and then it was really clunky. Now this new paradigm, there's no training. You just put a bunch of images in a folder, and it is able to do it. It's
And
just
it's done. Like you've
This
already
is how
moved past
Brigham
something
Young
that
pulled
took
off
you,
the miracle when his
like I
face
remember
didn't
that used to
Joseph's
take
face.
you like a
that's what I
day
was
to
gonna
do
do.
it.
I was gonna
This
log
is
in
it.
and then just like slowly turn into Jared.
Yeah, no, like does it like if it had a fader
Kevin.
function? Does it have a fader
Yes.
function?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
my god.
Holy crap! So
So-
wait, can you do you as Brigham Young fading into
We
Joseph
should do
Smith
like
and back?
we should do the whole ending of that
Oh, I didn't
Michael
even-
Jackson black or white video. Wait, can you do blackface? No, don't
Yes,
get
so-
canceled. You're already
yeah,
canceled enough with that community.
Yeah. Will AI allow you to do Al Jolson in blackface?
You call Malone.
do
Well,
Jimmy
you know, that brings
Kimmel
up a good
in Carl
question.
Malone face.
It brings up a good question because all the pictures that exist of Brigham Young that I have are black and white. And so I don't know if it's going to try to. I've never tried this, so I have a picture of Brigham
AI
Young.
can colorize, make him very white.
Mm.
So if I take a few beardy pictures of Brigham
Oh
Young,
my
Oh, it's
gosh.
happening. Oh, this is how it happened. This is what the saints saw.
so like all I have to do is like put a suit on, and now I'm Brigham Young.
Oh
This
my
is the
gosh.
place.
Humble yourselves, ye. Oh well, actually, so I have to look at the strength.
Will it drop
I
beard
can-
like down below your face or wow?
Not really. It's kind of constrained.
Like what if you
Apparently, the
put
stronger I make it,
Eliza Snow
less
in there?
it's-
Could you do like a big long beard?
Wait, what?
You mean
Could you do a
Horatio
big long
Snow?
beard? Man, Brigham Young kind of looks like a
Bill Maher.
well,
He looks
yeah,
like
it's
Arthur
like
Morgan.
somewhere between Bill Maher and RFM.
Whoa.
RFM
That's
Brigham
interesting.
RFM Young.
So who else do I have here?
Wait, so did
If
you
you,
do that?
if you
in
do
Taylor
someone
Swift?
black, will it make your skin black?
Well, if you
Oh,
do
do it.
somebody
Don't
who
do it,
has
Superman.
eyeglasses, I'm gonna. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna get canceled like crazy. If you do
Nope.
somebody who has glasses,
I'm brothers and sisters.
brothers and sisters.
All the kids of this dispensation.
See,
All right.
What we need to do is we need to get everybody out. Like we need Jared with this software installed, and then you with this. And okay, so let's see. I was in the middle of Anna Taylor-Joy. Okay, so not now. Let's see here. I need a file. Save this as. I have to convert it to JPEG.
I need a Mexican George W. Bush, and then I'll just do like a whole show like that. Mucho gusto.
I am probably distracting y'all from what should be.
No, this is way more fun.
You are unburdening us from what has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we were just gonna talk politics. I was just getting to the point of saying like the reason I was talking all that politics stuff is because it just seems like the way people gargle it down is the same way they gargle down religion, and that guy made it on one side, but you can say, well, it's just the same other way, and how it has been, and that's that. So that's it. That's the point.
There's also like, was there any Mormon stuff that happened this week? Like,
Yeah, I have some stuff. Like there's a bunch of Mormon trad wife stuff that hit.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Whoa! Speaking of a Mormon trad wife,
What?
You
I feel like we're dealing with a Mormon trad wife.
Wow. Okay,
That's
that's
a Anya
how do we
Taylor-Joy.
make your 40 IQ points dumber?
All right.
This
so
is gonna
on
increase
what
gender
level?
dysphoria.
Yes,
so
I was thinking the
hardcore.
exact same thing. Like, hello, gender dysphoria
Yeah.
is coming in twice as hard now.
Oh,
That's the thing. So that when if you do follow trans activists and that community, there is a phenomenon of people who have gender dysphoria wanting to see themselves as more feminine using software like this, but nothing that's as live or as dynamic.
We've seen it with pictures. Yeah, we've seen it in
Right.
pictures.
So the selfies that you'll see will definitely be like made up and everything. Am I disturbing you? Am I just?
You're just like having a conversation with
Yeah.
like, yes, I'm taking you very seriously. You look adorable.
You're like, I'm uncomfortably attracted to this character. Hold on now.
Do Andrew Tate quotes as Anna Taylor-Joy.
Andrew Tate is as Andrew Taylor-Joy.
Do Anna Tate-Joy. Andrew Tate-Joy? How many?
Andrew Tate-Joy.
Yeah, what's the name of the program, Jonathan?
This is a fork of a project called Rope.
Rope?
I don't understand any of those words.
Well, they're open source projects. So the first one called Rope it hit a few weeks ago, and it was groundbreaking in how easy it was able to do face swaps, deep fake type stuff. And then somebody forked that, which means they took that set of code and branched off of the original development to modify it on their own. And they added some features that that gave it real-time interaction.
That's so insane. Okay, now put in Jessica Tandy.
We're just gonna.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing any other ladies.
What are you on now?
No, come on. Give me just give me Molly Sugden.
What is this? Like, what is this one?
Give me Molly Sugden as Mrs. Slocum. Come on.
Is that Trump?
I was there. I was talking.
Think about America.
I hit the ground.
We used to
what
have,
are you guys doing?
We used to have great American tits, and now we don't have tits anymore.
I'm only gonna tell it once. It was just.
I'm only gonna tell the story once. You'll only hear it here once. Never again.
Leslie
Push
asked,
Time is the greatest podcast. I mean, that's what they say. They said it all the time when I'm in the comments. All right.
Do you think this type of thing was used for the suspicious video of Princess Kate? I saw that video too. It was suspicious. I mean, this is so good, and you're just messing around with it. It's gotta already be in play somewhere, somehow.
Yeah. No, like you know how like for all of us, like GPS became a thing like around 20 years ago. We're like, wow, there's this thing called GPS, and you can have it in your car, and it's on your phone, and it'll do everything. Like the Army had it since the 80s, right? So chances are that like the CIA has had this shit for like 10 years.
Oh yeah.
All the major newscast feeds have to be filtered through CIA face swap algorithms so that we can take our body doubles and hide it from the American public.
What if it's all just been kayfabe all along, and we've just been watching some like entertainment program? We've just been watching WWE wrestling. That's all it's been.
All right.
Tune in tonight for the series finale of America.
You're gonna miss it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be the best ever. We used to have this in America. We used to have it. We don't have it anymore. Now it's coming back. Trump,
all right,
did
one
you?
More. This is my last one. My last one. Then I'll switch to. No,
I was gonna ask Trump if he actually did that stuff with the 13-year-old, but
I don't know anything about it.
It didn't happen. I'm trying to find the thing that debunked it. Like Snopes debunked it like seven years ago. What is that?
Hey, you got my vote, buddy.
That's Ron Paul. Here we go.
All right, that's fine. Okay,
Ron Paul, why did you leave us, Ron Paul?
What? Oh,
he should.
Oh, we got weird.
You guys,
he should enter the race.
Is it frozen because of?
I think he bailed on us.
Does that thing freeze it? No, he didn't bail.
Because he's a bailing bailer who bailed.
It's just frozen. Now he's back.
No, I'm back. I removed that software from my video workflow.
Oh, now we have to look at his face again.
Yeah, Ron Paul should enter the race, and he'd be the oldest person in the race.
Yeah, that's the thing. I remember when we were like, I really like Ron Paul, but he's kind of old. I don't know that the American public would.
How old was he then? Like Kamala's age?
Well, in 2012, he was like, what is he? He's 88 right now, so he would have been 76 then.
It would have been heartbreaking to see him have that stroke as a president on the air.
Oh yeah, he glitched out too. He glitched out like McConnell glitched out one time.
Oh man.
Well, I
That
don't know.
Oh
It's-
yeah, that
I mean,
McConnell.
McConnell
one.
just froze.
McConnell fucking blue screened.
Didn't Ron Paul though kind of too?
Oh
I
no,
don't
he
remember.
like he had like the classic stroke symptoms live in an interview. It was
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah, it hit. Yeah. Leslie's asking for a celebrity crush, Andy Garcia.
30 years ago.
30 years
kind of
ago.
around what was that?
You want to know weird trivia about Andy
Godfather
Garcia that
3.
I know? Andy Garcia had a conjoined twin that got cut off his body at birth.
Jesus.
That was
What?
Yeah. Look it up.
You mean there
Was it
could
a
have
better
been
actor than
two
him?
Andy Garcias?
There could have been two. There could have been an acolyte Andy Garcia. So if you do the Andy Garcia, we're already in Total Recall right here. You got to go full Total Recall and have Quaid like coming
Yeah,
out
can
of
you
your-
get a Quado?
Quado, that's what it is. Yeah.
All right. Well, from now on, any public appearances I do, I'm gonna do 50% me, 50% Kevin, and then that way, I'm like
The world
right
is been
handling this.
You got to go
for
when you
more
go into
Kevin.
apologist mode. You got to go Kevin, and then when you go into like evil apostate mode, you got to go Jonathan. You guys, you and Troy should go like full like Jacob Hansen and Carden tomorrow because
You know what I'm saying?
no saying dog.
Yeah, that would. I don't want to alienate the guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
You guys talk amongst yourselves.
I think he's talking about Carden. Carden's I don't think he's a bad guy. He's really fun to make fun of. And I think he's also really sensitive about it, which is funny to me. Like, dude, you gotta have thicker skin.
Yeah.
See, that's not fair though, because maybe his easy cancer is skin cancer, and that's why.
Yeah. No, it's leukemia.
Oh,
Maybe
it's skin
leukemia. It's just easy cancer.
It's easy cancer.
Oh, I killed.
Was that
Leslie's-
Kara?
I
Was
killed
that Kara?
Leslie's,
That was Kara.
Yeah, that it was easy mode cancer. Yeah.
She's like, he just okay. He talks about taking a chemo. He's just taking a pill. That's all. He's just losing 20 years of his life. That's it.
So here's the answer to that thing. And this was that guy, that kid who went viral, and he like contacted back because he's some sort of local kid. Maybe he'd even ended up seeing this because he's all over the internet doing this sorts of stuff. But you gish gallop stuff out like Trump raped 13-year-olds. Like that becomes a bad argument for your argument against like the Joseph Smith stuff because you've put out an untruth out there. And so then you can easily say, well, if that's your comparison, like, yeah, it is the same comparison. You're putting out untruths into the world. This was debunked by Snopes and everything. This is like 7 years ago. And the woman who made the claim came out and said it didn't happen a long time ago. But they just barely dropped all that big time again, like 2-3 weeks ago. And just all these different people online just re-dropped it. Just like the JD Vance thing of like having sex with the couch wasn't true at all. It's just a great big whatever. Did you hear were you here for the JD Vance have a sex with the couch? So supposedly
we know a couch fucker.
Who's that?
I can't
say it out loud right now. No, say it right in the
can't,
screen.
but, like, I know that we know one because
he's
I
here.
Know maybe I'm trying
to remember.
But
JD Vance,
I remember. I just remember somebody just kind of mentioning like kind of threw it out there in one of those kind of fishing kind of ways.
Well, okay, but here's the thing.
Do you guys remember being a kid and boinking the couch?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
no,
it was that kind of thing. Yeah.
So we
Here's the
covered
thing,
it a
though,
little
like,
bit earlier.
He's a
There's like
hillbilly. Like even if it was true, it's like the whole book is about how he's a hillbilly growing up in Appalachia. You do weird things with your dick when you're a hillbilly kid.
That's
but at the same
that's what
time,
decent
he
people
did
do is fuck the couch.
It's not in the book, and somebody said it's in the book, and it's not in the book.
Oh, it's
But
not even a thing.
It's not
No, I
even
know,
a
it's-
thing.
it's
But the
not
entire left
true.
started running with this thing of like
It's not true, but it's also under like an 11-year-old put his dick somewhere weird. That's crazy. I'm gonna make
Yeah.
fun of him for it now. Also, he was a hillbilly with a drug addict mom. That's
But it's
crazy.
It's like the
crazy to get
Richard
weird
Gere
things with his
hamster
dick.
story. Like the story
Yeah.
has a life of its own.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's got its own life of its own. But people were saying like the left can meme now. Here, I'll show it to you again. We showed it earlier, but I'll show it one more time. So this is Richard Hanania saying, look, the left's got memes back in the bag again. Look at the memeing. And I watched it and I hadn't even known the rumor yet. And I'm like, what do you mean they got it again?
Oh, see.
It's also just too long. It's just this for like almost a full
So
minute.
It's just him looking at couches and stuff. But I was like, explain it to me. It's not a good meme if I need you to explain it to me.
Yeah.
I can declare that because I have to explain my bad memes all the time. And if I explain them, it wasn't a great meme, but you know.
I think what's interesting is that his addition to the I guess the ticket and the talking points that he's bringing out really kind of bring out that natalism versus anti-natalism current that is it's kind of like this movement and reaction to the movement that are happening underneath the surface of our modern discourse, because it really hasn't been front and center, and he's bringing it front and center, talking about, you know, that it kind of is important for us to promote.
People with kids are going to think
the next generation.
Yeah, people with kids are going to inherently think different about like the future and what they invest in and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
that's like almost
wait. That's just a social construct.
Well, you know, there's a brilliant example of this when we were doing the research on the queer theorists and their denigration of age of consent. Early on, Pat Califia, who was an ex-Mormon, her first book, which was like broke open the world of queer theory, argued that children can be sexual and that there's really nothing wrong with certain forms of, I think it was like child sex abuse imagery and things like that, what they call CP. And then in a later update to her book, in her foreword, she says, well, I have had kids since then, and I realize that some of the things that I were saying is probably okay. Actually, they don't know better, and so I've adjusted some of my positions on those things. So even like the most queer theory type of person had a much more liberal, permissive take on it before they had kids, and then they had kids, and they're like, hold on a second.
That's who Mary Harrington is. Like Mary Harrington comes from having a kid.
Yeah, no, I listen to, the more Destiny I listen to, the more I'm like, okay, I need to get more comfortable with setting axioms, right? Because I feel like the only axiom I would ever set before is like that the unjustified belief that I exist, right? And that I can know things. And the unjustified belief that leave me alone, basically. That was pretty much it. And now I hear him have these arguments with Trent Horn where he's talking about abortion, and Trent Horn gets him to admit that, yes, it would be morally permissible for somebody to breed unconscious human husks to use as child sex dolls. That was the whole scenario. And in my head, I was like, oh, no, it's not. It's just not. And I know that if I said that to Destiny, he'd say something like, well, on what principle do you found this? Like, how are you morally consistent? It's like, on the principle that specific thing isn't okay. I'm so comfortable setting an axiom that says it is not okay to harvest underage, mindless fuck dolls. I'm very comfortable setting that.
Yeah.
Based on no standard.
So Leslie, did you read Hillbilly Elegy? I watched Hillbilly Elegy last week, but I guess it leaves like a ton of stuff out of the book. But she says that his grandma asked him if he was gay or something like that. I've heard some people talk about a little bit, like I talked about last week, that he's doing a little bit of like the Pomo trad Catholic thing, that he went through an atheist spell in his life. Like, once again, these guys right here, they talk about the three factions that currently make up the new Republican Party. And one of the interesting things about the pick of J.D. Vance is it's actually kind of the pick of J.D. Vance that you can look at that shows that Trump kind of is bucking that GOP Inc. Version of the world, and he is bucking that 2025 people. And they even like had this report of like supposedly Trump, when he made that like Agenda 47, which is his actual thing, there's like some report from the meeting that he was directly saying we need to we need to message away from this 2025 thing because you guys are over the top. But the three different factions they talk about is old GOP Inc. Then there's this new kind of paleocon, kind of authoritarian, almost kind of re-Christian, right? The people we've been talking about for a long time. Those guys who say, use the government, use the bureaucracy. It's good. Use it, grab the ring, use the ring. And then the third one he calls, and he actually puts J.D. Vance in that camp, is the new Silicon Valley right that's coming out. That kind of atheist, whatever, but return to trad values. Might be a little bit pomo, but they're not going to go all the way authoritarian. And they think the selection of J.D. Vance is like, because Elon's totally pro-natalist, and we had Elon's discussion with Jordan Peterson this week. And did you guys watch the entire thing of that?
No.
So these guys are pointing to J.D. Vance as a hint that Trump is just completely nodding that the direction I'm going is that third kind of Silicon Valley libertarian right that's emerging, according to them. But who knows? Maybe it is just 2025. I was watching a thing today on Glenn Greenwald, although suddenly Glenn Greenwald's got different people popping up. And I hope that doesn't continue.
Greyjoy.
Yeah, I watch Glenn Greenwald for Glenn Greenwald. I don't want to see a bunch of.
I watch almost every video he puts out, and I was like, wait, what the fuck is this? I turned it on and I was like, is he just showing a Brianna Greyjoy clip? And then I got like 10 minutes and I was like, I don't think this is a clip.
Forrest says All In Pod roasted Matt Walsh. What were they roasting about? He's got a new movie coming out called Am I Racist? Not gonna lie, I think that looks all right. I think that looks like up the avenue of like the stuff he does well, which was the What Is a Woman thing. And he gets to interview Robin DiAngelo. I kind of can't wait for that.
He does
That is
gender.
fascinating.
He does the gender stuff well because he's actually exactly what you need for the gender stuff. Is just like a middle of the road dumb boomer dad conservative who just goes like, but a woman is a woman, right? Like, it's just looking for simple answers and shit like that because it shows, it really drives in the intentional obfuscation and complification, is that a word? I don't know, of gender that these people try to do, and it's great. And I think he might be able to do that with racism too.
So, I mean, I guess we haven't gotten to it yet because we have the whole Republicans pounce thing that happened. But there's a side of that is kind of frustrating. I guess it links to Matt Walsh because Matt Walsh was saying today, some of these guys burnt the flag and all that stuff. And Matt Walsh was saying, throw them in prison and throw them in jail. And that's like the Matt Walsh and the Michael Knowles that we don't like.
Oh, yeah, Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles are illiberal as all hell.
So Trump said this morning after those guys burnt the flags, the first time Scott Adams, because Scott Adams is always a Trump homer, but he says it's his first big error. And his big error was Trump said, I think you should get 1 year jail sentence if you do anything to desecrate the American flag. Now people will say, oh, it's unconstitutional. Those are stupid people. Those are stupid people that say that. You got to get Trump's face and do that one. Those are stupid people who say that. But so do you guys, that's what the Republicans pounce thing, they actually said it. I've got it.
I can't believe that. I can't believe they did that unironically.
Yeah, that's great. You want to know what I got as well? I got all those Pat Bagley cartoons. If you want to do a Pat Bagley.
I think those are actually worth looking at if you get a chance.
Yeah, I have them. You should do it as Pat Bagley and try to justify him to. Where's the?
He's almost as cringy as the naked pastor.
I believe it.
Dude.
Here it is. All right, so they actually said it. So there was a bunch of protests yesterday. Did you guys see like all the footage of it? Did you see any of like they completely graffitied up the Liberty Bell?
Yes.
They actually attacked cops. There's video of them attacking cops, like throwing cops to the ground and stuff on screen. And then what was that other one? The Christopher Columbus statue or something like that. And so they do all that sorts of stuff, and they made ridiculous fools on themselves. And they wrote on there like Hamas is coming for you or something like that.
Oh, good.
Of it somewhere. But the article right here in Politico says Republicans pounce after Netanyahu protesters burn U.S. flags and wave Hamas. We've talked about it before, but Republicans pounce is a longtime conservative meme that if conservatives do something bad, it's just reported as conservatives do something bad. And if the left or leftists or whatever do something bad, it's reported as Republicans pounce. And this is the first time we've seen them, like, because usually it's just like it's just the meme to say it, but this guy put the full meme in there. And was he aware that he was doing the meme or not? Like, that's the face of the guy right there. That doesn't look like a guy aware that he's doing the meme.
We need to get an AI version of that guy doing this soy jack pose.
Yeah.
They're waving Hamas flags, right? Okay.
Yeah.
There's
Did
no
you see
more
the Liberty Bell?
ambiguity. There's no more ambiguity. Like, this isn't okay because it's there. Like, there's the little bit of plausible deniability if you're like, well, no, we support Palestinians, not Hamas. Like, and everybody's been pointing out, like, well, there's kind of it's hard to separate those things right now. And here they are just telling us straight up, like, no, this is about Hamas. We are supporting Hamas, yes.
I know.
And there you go.
Yeah. I'm going to pull up the Liberty Bell real quick, and then we get into Pat Bagley. But it was bad, like the stuff they put in there, or the stuff that they did. And it was on Matt Walsh's show that I saw today, but they were throwing cops around. Like, it was, you know how like you watch all the January 6th and you tried to see something where maybe it looked like they were kind of doing something to a cop? And
No. A policeman was beaten to death with a fire extinguisher. A fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, forget about that one.
This was widely reported.
It happened.
Yeah. Well, these ones, you can see them just tossing the cops around, like, full on attacking them, all that sorts of stuff. Oh, here's Dan McClellan at Comic-Con. I'm trying to find the thing here. And look at this. It's Adam Kinzinger who's complaining about what they did. And I guess even Kamala said something about it a little bit later, but hold on.
By the way, thanks, Jonathan, for introducing me to Dan McClellan.
He did?
Yeah, he introduced all of us. He's like, check out this.
Oh no,
post.
I saw Dan McClellan way longer.
Oh, really? And that was by the way, that was the same day I got blocked by Dan McClellan.
Jonathan showed us that Facebook thing, but I'd been ranting about McClellan for a bit.
See,
but
I hadn't seen him yet, and that was the first, like, my direct quote was, "I don't buy the whole only white people can be racist shtick." And he was like, "That's blatantly racist." Block.
I saw early Dan McClellan on TikTok. Just kind of, it seemed like he was just kind of like a generalized at first, almost kind of BYU apologist. And he just really tentatively kind of started coming out there and saying, that's not exactly true. That's not exactly right. And it all seemed to kind of coincide with church stuff. And then real quick, it turned into full Bible stuff. And then real quick turned into whatever he is now.
Blue church.
Yeah. Here it is. And that's the Columbus. That's just got Hamas written on that.
So I always tell people, right? There's I work at a naval base, right, or a naval reactor, and I'm not with the Navy. I'm like a subcontractor of it. But every morning at like 8 a.m, they'll play the national anthem, and everybody like stands and takes their hat off and salutes the flag, and it makes me cringe. I always I want to be indoors at that time because it feels weird and cringy to me. And I always think the whole time, I'm like, I know there is an accurate, there's like a good sweet spot for patriotism, and it's probably more patriotic than I am, but I don't know how patriotic it is. And then I see shit like this, and I'm like, okay, it's definitely more patriotic than you guys are. Like, there should be some amount of pride you have in something like the Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
No, it's these people all read the 1619 Project.
Yeah.
They know what the Liberty Bell stands for.
They read the gist of it.
When you ring the bell, that's the time for the slaves to go back to work. That's what the bell stands for.
Is that what it always was?
That's what that's always been.
Here, tell me if you saw anything this bad on on January 6th.
Some officers did attempt to engage the crowd at various points, and the rioters responded by dragging them around like rag dolls. Watch.
No, there are guys like still in prison
Hey,
right
wait,
now.
no, hey, no, look. That was 93% peaceful dragging of that cop.
That is true. Yeah. 93% of the crowd
Like,
did not.
93% of that guy's helmet doesn't have scratches from the pavement on it. Like, you just have no, listen to their anger, Chris.
Yeah.
And besides, did you not know that protesting is part of American democracy? Like, are you unaware of all of these things that everybody knows?
I remember the question Cuomo, the philosopher Cuomo asked, where in the Constitution does it say to peaceably assemble, except in the First Amendment?
That really did happen, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Pat Bagley. This guy, now, once again, too, like Jonathan brought it up today, but I have written, "You are a hack," under maybe 1,000 of his of his cartoons on Facebook. But I've never gotten more pithy than that. I usually just say hack. Usually it's just one word, like "you are" is not even usually there. This guy, I mean, how long has he been doing these drawings for the Deseret News? It's been like 30 years or something, right?
This one isn't even a drawing.
Yeah. That's him, right? Let's see here.
Yeah, this is one of his ones that's on his Instagram.
Huh. So is that like a cartoon? So this is the guy, and he just does political cartoons. And boy,
He's the
golly.
brother of a historian, I think is Will Bagley, who did the
Oh,
blood.
yeah.
And
Sure.
they kind of look really similar to each other, but his brother historian died a few years ago. I had a chance to meet him. I have a photo with him.
Oh,
the historian?
And I have a signed. Yeah, I think it was Will Bagley.
Wow.
Billy Bagley.
Yeah.
No, it was Will yeah.
Will Bagley. He chronicled the Mountain Meadows massacre. His book "Blood of the Prophets" was the first in-depth history of that kind of pushed the church to have to confront some of the realities of that history. It was a very notable guy. It was fun to listen. Several of his talks are on YouTube. I think I have one on my channel, perhaps.
Was he ex-Mormon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Well, all right. Well, here's
his brother is this famous political
here's a picture of
cartoonist.
him. There's Will Bagley, the historian, dude.
Billy
And
Bags.
now
Oh,
we
that's
get to
right.
watch the cartoonist Pat Bagley, who for 30 years has been torturing us in the Desert News. Let's see here. This is like a full, like, look at this. I don't know. How many did you send today? Like 20 of them? We got 20 of them.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So what you do when you're creating a new AI model so that you want to be able to render images in a particular style is you try to go out and collect a whole bunch of the high resolution versions of that. And there's different things that you can do for it. One of them would be if somebody has an Instagram where they publicly display their images, there's plugins that let you just vacuum all those images into a folder. So I have like a folder with a whole bunch of his cartoons, and I've only seen like a handful here and there. I actually have a signed Bagley cartoon that was one that I really liked. I'd never paid attention to what he regularly does just because he's not in my local area. So I'm flipping through these cartoons because I thought he has a fun style. I really like his businessman church leader ones he gives them like really thick, fleshy lips. And then I'm like, these are really, really one-sided on the political spectrum, and it's not.
You hadn't seen that before?
No, I just never paid attention to him before.
They're not just like one-sided. They're also just like not jokes usually. What's this one? This is a what is this? The best way to protect your child from ever reading an unapproved book. Never teach them to read.
I always love anytime we get into the book banning discussion, they always show shit like this, like Diary of Anne Frank, which has that ever been? Have they ever tried to ban that? I don't like.
Yeah, I think
like,
it's come
school
up
libraries or
before
whatever.
somewhere. Yeah.
And it's always stuff like that in 1984 and Catcher in the Rye. It's never like genderqueer, and it's
Yeah.
never like things that are actually pornographic.
Well, and the thing is too is like it's actually in California. I actually got into it with somebody on one of those ex-Mormon things of showing it to them. Some of the people who are now trying to ban To Kill a Mockingbird and Mark Twain and that stuff like that are leftists who don't like the words in them. You know.
Do you remember that guy that censored all of the N-words out of Huck Finn?
Yeah.
I remember just raging at that because Huckleberry Finn's one of the best books ever written, and it's a beautiful story about somebody not understanding racism, and it's amazing. And you have to have N-words in it because you have to have racists in it. I remember even Spike Lee got pissed off at Quentin Tarantino for having the N-word in his movies. And Quentin Tarantino's like, I make movies that are often about racists. They have to be racist.
Yeah, he used to get in trouble for and he said it himself in the what is it, that one, the when he plays the role in, oh gosh, I forget the name of his movie.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction is the one where he drops a whole lot. But I guess it's also in the vampire one, whatever that is. So you remember how they all freaked out saying that he talked like Hitler because he called people rats? And I mean, I guess you could do the both sides thing that Trump does. Sometimes say these rats or whatever, but I don't see how you get away from the dehumanizing thing of just saying, look, he's a fly and he needs to be swatted. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't like put some word on the swatter there, like what would be a Trump swatter?
Well, like the Justice Department or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like that would have been true, Pat Bagley. The Justice Department.
Well, the Justice Department has to take him down so that he can't weaponize the Justice Department against his enemies.
No, exactly.
This is true.
Use the ring to defeat Sauron.
Before Sauron uses the ring.
Yeah.
Back on that book banning one, I think, Chris, you would make the comment that it's like a perfect Mott and Bailey sort of thing because, the discourse over the book bans gets so muddled because you have the idea that it's government censorship versus school districts deciding what books are appropriate to have in a school library, which, it's very different from a book ban. And then in defense of it, they'll bring up things like Anne Frank's diary, but that's not the things that parents are trying to ban. Although you could probably go back and find that the reasons that they wanted to ban Anne Frank's diary have to do with certain aspects of sexuality that she talks about there. And so hyper-religious people.
About something with like her uncle or something like that.
Yeah.
No, wasn't
maybe
the big scandal came out like she got pregnant, right? She got pregnant while she was in hiding. No, her sister did. I know. Anyway, I know this was something that was like.
Yeah, I mean, it was more than just like, oh, we don't want people to learn about the Holocaust. Although maybe there's a fraction of people about that, but
this would
that's that's a totally different category than what we're talking about with the school stuff now. Because, like, if you had books that glorified suicide or glorified some other thing for which there's ample evidence that there's a social contagion element, then parents would be concerned about kids having access to something for which they are vulnerable for a social contagion element that has that process. And, I think there's some of that in what the parents are concerned about, but none of those nuances make it into a cartoon like that. There, it's like all book bans are bad. All attempts to regulate a little bit where books are available are the same thing as book censorship or book bans, and that gets totally lost there.
Look at this. There's even more to the story. It was a graphic adaptation of her sexual diary.
What? Of course.
Oh, that's right.
Of course
It's
that
coming back
exists.
now.
Of course, some sick bastard. Was
Somebody
like, you know what?
did-
I'm gonna draw these scenes of her uncle molesting her. Let's do that.
somebody
Illustrated
did
Anne Frank
black-
book removed from Florida schools because
And then
it's called.
as soon as they try to remove it from the schools, he goes full Randy Marshall. I thought this was America.
The Anne Frank graphic novel had been checked out twice before it was removed, and it said it has where is it? It had.
What do you want to bet it was queered as well? You know, this
Illustration of
phenomenon
sexual
queering things.
passages from her book, The Diary of a Young Girl, and I have some images from it. We could maybe make an AI image. This is the graphic novel right here. Is that her kissing like a monkey or something?
You're not showing it.
You're not sharing
Why
it.
not? It says on the screen that
When
it
will
is.
you
Oh,
show
it's not
things?
there.
We're still on Pat Bagley.
Damn it.
Concern it.
That's the illustrated book right there. And yeah. And this is the Google thing I found. The inclusion of Diary of a Young Girl. Especially notable because the sexual passages illustrated in the book. The plot always thickens, and that one was one of the Florida bands, but that sounds like more like one of those porny ones. But I know the California people. That was funny because Gavin Newsom came out with a post saying like, "Oh, I'm against banning these books," but then like he was for some of the California banning of books, and I saw like a Snopes thing that even debunked it for people. I got in an argument on Mormon Stories with a guy about it, and I asked him. I think I showed it to you guys. I asked the guy like, do you really want me to Google for you if the left has banned any books? He's like, you can do it. Yeah, I'm for sure. I'm like, no, I want to ask before I do it. Do you really think I will not find how the left has banned some books? No way. And I'm like, okay. It took 2 seconds, But let's see here. Let's go back.
That one about the fly swatter sort of thing, that's I think my comment was it's like stochastic cartooning.
Yeah.
There's all this argument about it. There's so many dog whistles in Republican talks or in conservative talks about, calling for violence without calling for violence. And then concern for that type of stochastic phenomenon doesn't really seem to exist when it happens the other way. And certainly if they're now finding tweets that are aligned with that ideology in the shooter, then that's going to come up again.
Do you think this is a good article from ABC News that tells us how conservative and liberal book bans differ?
Let me guess. It's okay when they do it. Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, liberal efforts criticized for restricted books in the name of anti-racism or progressive ideals.
Oh my God. Okay. Do not tell me that you tried to edit Huck Finn on the basis of progressivism. Do you know how progressive an idea the whole Huck Finn? I'm gonna stop right now before my fucking brain explodes.
Look, think about it like this, Jared. It's books like Of Mice and Men, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and several Dr. Seuss titles that have been challenged in schools and libraries due to racist language.
No, fuck you. No, fuck you. If you gave a shit about anti-racism and you were actually anti-racist, you would make Huckleberry Finn mandatory reading. It's the most anti-racist book I've ever read in my fucking life.
I mean, that's
since the
thing, like-
Starbelly Sneetches by Dr. Seuss, who you also tried to fucking cancel.
No,
you
exactly,
dipshit.
but it's for the exact same reason. Like, they don't hate Huckleberry Finn because the character says the N-word. They hate it because the message is that people of different races can overcome their dark histories and look at each other's humanity instead of
You
their
wanna see
skin
this?
color.
Here,
This
I'll
is
show you
why they hate Huckleberry Finn so much. Because, like you say, it's a message that is anti-racist in the true sense. And it's just like that Dr. Seuss story. Like, it was a story of anti-racism. The last thing they want is for people to not care about race, because then their entire game is over as soon as that happens.
Oh yeah. So Morgan made this poster thing for me for my birthday. It's like my favorite passage of any book, and it's from Huckleberry Finn. And it's about when Jim, like he found out Jim ran away, and that's bad. The slave isn't supposed to run away. And it's all about him he wrote up a letter to Jim's owner, and he was going to give it to her, and he's like struggling. He's like, but I like Jim. I don't want him to go back to slavery. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's just it's him coming to terms with he says, if I do this, I'm going to go to hell. And he says, all right, then I guess I'll go to hell. And he tears up the letter, and it's this beautiful like character climax where he doesn't have the words to describe it, but he realizes that this whole slavery thing is just wrong. It's more wrong than the entire religion that taught him that it was right.
So
Anyway, I'm very passionate about this. Sorry, go on.
I'm looking at a few other just commentary on the graphic novel of Anne Frank, and of course there's these articles saying, was Anne Frank bisexual? Graphic adaptation.
Oh.
We found a passage in her diary where she's talking about her friend who died, and she said, I loved my friend. That doesn't sound very straight.
That's coded bisexual
Definitely.
coding.
What else could it be?
Didn't they
The
do
burning
that,
question.
Alexander the Great's Netflix biopic as well.
Oh yeah.
There's an Abraham Lincoln coming out.
No. The whole Alexander the Great thing was hilarious because he was really sad when I can't remember his friend's name, but when his friend died, and he said he loved his friend. Like, yeah, I can't think of a single friend that I have, a male friend who I would be sad when they died, and I would never, if Flip died, I would never be like, I loved Flip. That would be fucking gay.
That's gay. Yeah, don't ever say that.
They're doing an Abraham Lincoln one called Lover of Men, The Untold History of Abraham Lincoln, September 6th. Because he slept in the same bed as one of his friends.
So here's the other thing about this that makes me so obnoxious is that I'm pretty sure that it was in the 80s the first time anybody ever said, a lot of historians think that there's a high probability that Abraham Lincoln was gay. And I went, huh. And that's where I've been for my entire life. That's okay. Yep. What am I supposed to take away from that?
I hear he had a wife who was a shrew enough that maybe it would turn you gay. They actually get into that in the Lincoln movie. Like
He
they
did have
nuts.
DPD wife, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a famous cluster B type.
Yeah. Cluster B, save the slaves. And now they're here keeping it going and alive. They're keeping the fight alive. Thanks, Cluster B. The burning question for 2024 is Biden too old? And Trump's got a burger and fries. If I made
but also
cartoons
he's got Biden here stretching like he's ready for a jog. Okay, fuck you. It's one thing to say okay, because Trump is famous for eating junk food. Okay, first off, everybody has a bad diet except for Chris Hanna. Chris Hanna and people in the Olympic Village in Paris are all the people on Earth that we don't get to make fun of for having a bad diet. That's the whole list, right? But this idea that Joe Biden goes for a jog every day, fuck you.
He's chocolate chip, man. Chocolate.
This is North Korea level stuff. Famously in North Korean media,
Joe Biden doesn't poop.
They always portray the Kims as having great hair and bright skin and all this crap. Joe Biden doesn't jog. He can't stretch. Come on.
He can't touch his leg.
Yeah.
I felt bad for the guy when he fell off the bicycle and the cameras were pointing at him.
I remember that one. Yeah.
I mean, there comes a point where you just kind of feel bad for the elderly that are put in harm's way and like that.
Yeah, well, that's
This
the
is
argument.
this is another one of the.
You shouldn't put them up as candidates for president.
Have you heard of Trump's exercise beliefs?
Oh, that's right. The more you move, the faster you die.
Yeah, he has the belief that if you exercise and pump your heart too fast, your heart only has so many heartbeats, so you advance.
Right.
To death.
That's right. Yeah, no, that
I've heard
apparently
people say that.
Is that real? Does he really
Yeah,
say
he
that?
really believes that. Yeah.
That's so amazing. What a jackass.
Okay. This is not a fertilized egg, it's a baby. This is not a zygote, it's a baby. This is not a blastocyst, it's a baby. This is not an embryo, it's a baby. This is not a fetus, it's a baby. This is not a baby, this is an independent contractor.
I get it. Because Uber employs infants. That's right. This makes total sense. This
And the
parody,
California laws have jacked them.
it does not break down at any point.
This always pisses me off with the whole pro-life, pro-choice debate because they act like this is acting like medical technical stages of development and colloquialisms are mutually exclusive, right? So it is both a fertilized egg and a baby. It is both a fetus and a baby. Ask any pregnant woman. Like, no pregnant woman says, "Oh, the fetus is kicking." She says the baby's kicking because baby isn't a stage of development. My mom called me a baby as soon as she saw the pregnancy test. She called me a baby when I kicked the first time. She called me a baby when I was an infant. And she calls me a baby now when I'm 32 years old.
There's a clump of cells.
It's a colloquialism. If she called me an infant, they would have been like, "What?" Like if the infant kicked, they'd have been like, "Well, that's a little weird." And it's like, "Oh, this is my infant Jared, who's 32." That doesn't make sense. But no, my baby. They'll be like, "Yeah."
There's a parasitical clump of cells. I can feel it kicking with its foot.
Speaking of which, have you guys heard those like?
Because I know people have like a brain tumor. They're like, "Oh, I feel my tumor kicking." Oh, fuck! Right there, it's kicking.
Aw, adorable.
When I saw this, I was like, "Is this a pro-choice or a pro-life comic?" Because, like, it actually does what some people don't do. Is it acknowledges that the reason that the pro-life people are concerned about this is because they see all of these things as part of and inherent to the baby. And so they would say that terminating these things is like killing a baby. And so it actually acknowledged that, like that it actually gave them credit for that. Now the independent contractor part, I'm not.
This has to be very.
That's the whole deal they talk about, that like you don't take care of the baby after it's born. So why?
Yeah,
which is such a fucking lie.
You don't care about it till it's born, but as Risto pointed out in our Maven thing, the pregnancy center, the pro-life pregnancy centers outnumber Planned Parenthood like 10-1, and they have zero public funding. So yeah, it's they care. Pro-life people are more likely to adopt. They're more likely to donate to charities. And
like,
stuff
do
like
we have that? I don't think we. I don't. You don't even have to dig it up. But I do the thing where I just screenshot the front page of pro-choice Reddit because it sends me links. And there's one where it's like, it's what was it? Was it CNN? But it was lefty news going like, Republicans have declared they do not want an abortion ban. And the first thing is, we can't trust these bastards. like you won't even take good news. You won't even accept good news. Like that's how you know you're in a cult.
Yes.
It occurred to me, Chris, you bring up fetal alcohol syndrome quite a bit. And I was reading one of these debates online, and they were talking about, well, why do we care if mothers drink alcohol? It's because it's going to hurt the baby.
That actually had a debate with like Lance from the Surfs versus Tim Pool. They asked him directly.
Oh, the meth one?
Yeah, they asked him directly, do you think a mom should be able to smoke meth? He goes, no, because it'll hurt the baby. And that was just right after making all the other arguments of that it's not a baby until it's born. Yeah.
He actually used the words it would hurt the baby.
Yeah. Did you see the debate between Bill Maher and Larry Wilmore this week?
No.
No.
They had like a whole debate on abortion stuff. I'll pull it up.
We're such great podcasters.
Yeah. Did you see the? Have you seen the independent contractor laws in California that they got changed?
I heard about it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you basically can't have independent contractors. You basically if Uber hires you, they have to hire you as a full-time W-2 employee, and it just jacks up the whole thing.
No,
So you can't
they were already losing money, and now it's completely unviable. Their whole business model. I wonder if it'll. Yeah, how long can they keep that up for?
It pissed a bunch of people off, but it hurts just as much like musicians and stuff, like the band, like the gig stuff that I go and do. Like if I go and do gig stuff, I'd have to be hired as an employee. I couldn't just go gig for a day or something. That's something.
Yeah, that's
here it
great.
is.
Are you sharing something, Chris?
Damn it.
Happens every time.
I need a double screen or something so I can.
This is
especially
your
when I'm going back
to RFM and Bill.
Yeah.
Microphone muted.
You know, this whole thing of repealing Roe v. Wade and the cynical way which was done shows no respect for the autonomy of women over their bodies. I'm sorry.
Is that Stacker?
That's not a party that has changed. That's a party that has stuck to its gun.
Who?
Is that Stacker?
No, it's Scott Adams who said.
I'm just kidding. That was the most. I was just
that was
joking
the
about
most
his
basic,
lukewarm take.
Yeah, lukewarm takes. Infinite lukewarm takes. Scott Adams says Larry Wilmore is a good example of Democrat cult thinking. He has never heard the conservative argument about abortion until this moment. But Byron Donalds knows both sides of the argument. One of them is in a cult and doesn't know it.
Guns for 50 years, which I give it credit for.
Yeah,
by
but
the
it's
way.
not because they hate women. It's because they think it's murder.
Bill, but they don't respect women's ability to make that decision.
That's not true at all. That's not true at all.
I'll say my point.
Trust me, I'm very pro-choice.
I know, but the thing about abortion, we've talked about this before too. The sides are actually.
If you thought it was murder, why would you respect somebody's decision to make that for
I
themselves?
know, Jesus, man.
I think you stabbing somebody is murder. I don't know. I can make that decision for myself. Well, what?
Life side is actually a very liberal position, whereas the pro-choice side is a very conservative position. I know you're saying what? The reason why it's a very liberal position pro-life because it wants the government to step in and interfere where the agency of this child, it doesn't have agency. The government has to step in on its behalf. That is a liberal action. Whereas pro-choice position is about the liberty of the individuals at stake here. The woman's liberty is what's at stake. That's what privacy means. That's why it was based on the privacy clause, because we have a liberty in this country and the ability to make your own decisions. That's what's at stake.
Remember when Bill Reel shared that movie about that magic show that would change your life because of all the new age guru-y stuff in it? Larry Wilmore was in the audience of that crowd, and they kept cutting to him watching the guru guy there. And at some point in it, he said he viewed himself as a sage.
In that decision is that you're taking that away.
Okay, well, two things real quick.
That's conservative position.
This is important. Because with respect to abortion, with respect to you're saying being pro-choice, fully respects a woman's agency, fully respects a woman's choice.
It puts the decision in her hands.
But you also have that unborn child. That child is unborn. Viability starts at about 21, 22 weeks now with modern medicine. Who knows where that's going to go? And when you talk about repealing Roe v. Wade, that's not what happened. A case came through the channels of our legal system. The Supreme Court looked at that case, looked at Roe v. Wade, which even Ruth Bader Ginsburg said was a very poorly written decision, even though she's very pro-choice.
She said it was imperfect, but she said it was a law of the land.
But at the end of the day, and then the Supreme Court came out with a new decision, and they said this is now in the hands of states, actually going back to what it was before 1973.
I'm sorry, why did they want to do that, Byron? Why did they want to mess with it in the first place? I wonder what they were up to.
No. Because a legal question
Wade,
came before the court, and if a legal question comes before the court has a responsibility to answer that.
But that question has come before the court before.
But the court didn't say
in the early 90s.
But the court
and they
did
made a
not
different
say.
decision.
But the court did not say that we're going to outlaw abortions. That's not what they said.
Yeah.
That is not what they said. Be accurate now. In the Dobbs decision, they said that this is now going to go to the states. California.
Where's this road leading to? I'm sorry, roads aren't built that lead to nowhere. They
That's
go
not
somewhere.
true. We're watching it right now.
Where's this road leading?
What is happening right now?
Not leading for more.
That's actually that is
Like you're right. This is. It's like it's amazing. It's on Bill Maher's show, a nationally syndicated show that's been on for 30 years. This is the first time he has encountered a pro-life argument.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening here. It's amazing. But you're right. Was it Bill Maher says you're in a cult? If you don't know what you're saying, you have no idea what this is. Anyway, sorry, just let it go.
Oh, I mean it's just more of that. We don't need to keep seeing it.
Oh, all right.
But look at this. Did you guys see that Kamala border? I just was reminded of it seeing there, all the news. They say that she was never the border czar, but there's I'll pull it up later. But
wait, are they saying that now? She was never the border czar.
That was my name. That was the borderline personality czar.
Yeah, and
No,
people
they're
already put
seriously
together clips of the news announcing
no, it's
she's the
the
border
biggest
czar,
gaslight ever. Yeah, they've got
That's
this compilation.
astounding gaslight. Like
Yeah.
they said,
Wild.
she was gonna fix it. They
yeah,
told
and
us
they
that she fixed it.
Viva Fry pulled up this where they actually had it in some legal documents that she was called the border czar too. But the news was just announcing it forever that she's the border czar anyway. So, son of a bitch.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff. But
did you pull up the Republican donor level cartoon that Bagley did?
Yeah, I'll get. I
And
think
then
I
the
pulled
debate
every single one of them. I think.
Oh, okay.
Let me see here. I'll get to them. Just real quick. This is the Viva Fry has it right down there in the resolution 253. She's called the border czar right there. And then Kamala Harris in the border, the myth and the facts. The myth is that she was ever the border czar at all. But
It was totally made up. That was a
Yeah.
Russian bot that went on American news and said that.
But the news, yeah, they have highlights of the news of them all saying she's the border czar, and then all coming out now saying she is not the border czar. Which Bagley one were we on? Add to the stage. Which one? This one? Donor levels?
Yeah, this is the one where I was like, what in the world is because you got to think about it with all these cartoons. Okay, it's a political cartoon, it's trying to make a point, and what is the point? Is it using hyperbole? What is this trying to say that you're going to restore lynching? The Capitol.
So so bronze level you get the Trump Bible, the silver level you get the shoes and the Trump Bible. The gold level you get the shoes, the Trump Bible, and you get to burn down the Capitol and lynch people. And then the platinum level, you get the
So I guess-
documents.
So I guess
I
I mean
guess-
Elon's donating $45 million a month now, right? So what does he get? They just give him. I guess they just give him a black person, according to Pat Bagley now. A noose?
there's your black.
Noose? Why would there be a noose there? Shut up and take my money, says Troy.
Wait, he probably believed the NASCAR news story.
Oh, is that what it is? The
There's-
NASCAR news?
Oh, it's just lynching. I think they're saying that if you donate to the gold, you get the shoes, the Bible, the burning down of the Capitol, and lynching.
Like, yeah, no, Pat Bagley is just the iron law of woke projection in cartoon form.
Didn't we? I don't know. You can't compare anything to racial lynching, or else you get accused of being racism. But seeing a cop being dragged in a mob action is, something's up with society if that's what's the acceptable thing there. That invokes the Cultural Revolution of China a lot more strongly. But just the idea, when it's like my opponents are ontologically evil. Well, of course you're going to paint them like this. You're dehumanizing anyone that thinks any differently, and it's just a cartoon, right? So
My enemies are ontologically evil, but I disavow any violence against them.
Jonathan, you're a famous transphobe. Why should we take your word on these
I've noticed something about this lately as Jon Stewart has returned to the scene finally. Jon Stewart, now and since forever, has always actually had comedic talent. And actual comedic talent always takes some sort of edge off it. Like if there really is a joke in there somewhere, you can always just be like, okay, but there's a giggle in there.
I actually thought about this. I watched a Jon Stewart clip and then I watched a John Oliver segment, and the contrast was so stark. I was like, Jon Stewart could have made this funny, at least most of it, except for the Ted Cruz shit. As soon as the Ted Cruz Dr. Seuss joke came up, Jon Stewart would have been like, this is fucking stupid. I can't make it funny. No one can make it funny. It's not funny. Let's stop pretending.
Yeah,
well, Ted Cruz is one of these things.
I do not like that Ted Cruz man. I do not like him in a van.
That's one of those things where, it's like I haven't paid that close attention, but it's funny because, when I listen to leftists talk about Ted Cruz, he sounds like the devil, and now I haven't sought it out. I haven't gone and done a deep dive, but he pops up. Like I listen to a lot of those like Senate things and all this stuff and whatever, just news and stuff. And I'm waiting to see the Ted Cruz that they're talking about. And I'm realizing that is it just like the Trump thing where it's just entirely a figment of their imagination? Like, because they talk about him as like, oh, there's a guy who wants to do Handmaid's Tale and deport all the brown people.
No.
But what's the thing that he said that's supposed to be
The funniest thing that Ted Cruz ever said was he like wrote some type of, and maybe I'm getting the non-fact check version of this because it's from years ago, but he tried to like edit this piece of legislation that was talking about how sex toys aren't legal or something, and he made the argument that there's no constitutional right to self-stimulation or some weird shit like that. I can't.
No, you have the right to pursue happiness, and masturbation makes people pretty happy.
Ted Cruz is one of the ones because, like, if you look all the way back to the Trump
original, I'm no Natasha Helfer, but I think masturbation makes people happy.
If you think about Ted Cruz all the way back to Trump's his original primary stuff, Ted Cruz seemed kind of like a weirdo and kind of like a creepy nothing. And he's one of the guys who actually started rolling with the memes and got funnier and started to seem more human the more online that he got a little bit. But actually, the worst stuff I've heard about Ted Cruz usually comes from right wingers who start criticizing where he gets money from. But other than that, the left is just like he's just ontologically evil because abortion and the abortion and the border. Yeah. There's a PragerU video in which they ask random people if it ought to be illegal to harm eagles' eggs. Everyone says absolutely destroying an eagle's egg ought to be illegal. Yeah, that's kind of that would be a trouble for Destiny's principles, right? If he had him. Okay, so but that's what I'm saying is like there was no joke in that one. And like, what's the joke here? Like, I try to imagine like these same points. Like he could make these same points, but like get a joke in there.
Yeah, well, the
I think
joke
that's
could be
part of the leeway of political cartoons, though. They are not necessarily humorous.
There's political cartoons that are
yeah,
good
but
out
I think
there.
he's trying to be humorous, and you should have at least done something that pertains to Trump. Bucket of Mud doesn't really pertain to him. If I don't know, maybe do like golf or some shit like that. Yeah, I guess. I just do like a set of golf clubs or something. Do like a porn star, something like that. This isn't it's bad.
I think I get the point of this one where supposedly Biden's studying up on foreign policy and domestic policy so that he can talk substance at the debate, whereas Trump is only going to be figuring out how he can insult and sling mud at Biden. And that was
okay. Here's the thing. Like, this is another one of those things where it's like, okay, now satire, the whole point of satire is there's supposed to be an element of truth to it. What was the foreign policy disaster that happened under, what was just pick one foreign policy disaster that happened under Obama? ISIS, Syria, Benghazi, Putin annexed Crimea, China moving into the South Sea, North Korea tested nukes. Like, this is off the top of my head. What is the foreign policy disasters of Biden? Ukraine war, Afghanistan, right? Syria continues, Houthis, whatever. What were the foreign policy disasters under Trump? Saudi Arabia recognized Israel. The idiot son-in-law, the fucking idiot son-in-law, Jared Kushner, that when they installed him, I said, God damn it. Why are they what the fuck? This looks so retarded. I have to eat my words. The fucking idiot son-in-law convinced the Saudis to recognize Israel. So again, if there was some modicum of truth to this, but the fact is Trump, despite being the fucking immoral dipshit that I believe that he is, had the best foreign policy record of any president in my life by a long goddamn way. He sat down with Kim Jong-un. He actually got the Chinese to concede on economic shit.
So does this count as like a cartoon? Because it's just a meme because you're robbing the thing from somebody else. And is it a political cartoon or not? I don't know. But I mean, that's funny, right? Does it count
that
as a
one's-
cartoon?
That one's pretty good. I guess I never got the whole Pioneer Day things because Pioneer Day is like nothing in Idaho, and it's apparently 4th of July 2.0 in Utah. I didn't realize that until
Yeah, it totally is.
It's okay. Like one day, like see, this is one of those things. Like I hesitate to bring it up because I don't want like somebody to notice and go, "Hey." But like since I was a kid, I'm like, "Okay, I get why we do fireworks for the 4th of July because of battles and stuff, and because of the rockets' red glare." Okay, connection, right? Okay, but fireworks for Pioneer Day. But there is a 6-window block of time carved out in the law where it is legal to shoot fireworks for Pioneer Day. Like, okay, I'll take it. I come from a long line of pyromaniacs with a couple of licensed pyrotechnics thrown in for legitimacy. But
Oh, no, I mean,
what
I love
the
it.
fuck? What the fuck do fireworks have to do with Pioneer Day? But I'll take it. Whatever.
So I think that both sides of this are actually pretty funny. I like the pie and beer day thing. Like it's one of the rare times ex-Mormons were kind of funny. It was a snarky little like pushback, like, pioneers, I'm gonna celebrate pie and beer or whatever. Yeah, it's funny. But then this is also pretty funny, like just saying, "Oh no, you're calling it Pie and Beer Day."
Yeah, I mean, if we're calling them cartoons, like I think Mormon or like has a bunch of them that like actually make me laugh. Like saying goodbye to the FSY friends I will never think about ever again. You know?
Mormoner's meme game is on point.
Yeah, the hot pocket and microwave too long.
You're still on the pie and beer one.
We're
by
not
the way.
seeing these. We want to see them.
You're enjoying jokes that we can't see.
Yeah.
Why does it? Damn it, dude! Because it goes into that stupid PowerPoint. And here's some.
Where did when did John because we're all about the same age, and yet Jonathan can work computers. Okay, well, hold on. Okay, it's worse for you because you're 10 years younger than us. How come Jonathan can work pooters, and you and the rest of us are like, how does we streamcast? I don't know how to share the video. Like Jonathan turned his face into 15 people today. We can't share a meme from fucking Facebook.
Yeah, well, if we were any good or had any sort of gumption, we would have jumped on the podcasting game 10 years ago, back before John DeLynn was even on it, because we were around there talking about it, but we were too lazy and dumb.
Hello and welcome to Porch Time. Today we're going to talk about how, I don't know if you knew this, but Joseph Smith actually tried to marry a 14-year-old girl.
This is the other guy I wonder.
Did you know it says you gotta limit your meat in the word of wisdom?
So like 6 years ago, like Jonathan, like you put like what, like probably 100 hours into the racism apology hoax, and you could have asked your AI to put it, like it could have farted that out in 14 seconds.
I hadn't thought about that. Dude,
That's all of us now. That's all of us and everything we're doing
Like,
now, man.
Learn about church.
Difference.
Say apologize for
There's
racism,
definitely a
and would have
difference.
done the same thing.
You can there's a difference like in having a tool and knowing how to use it. Like that's one of the things that I realize is an issue with, it was difficult to learn how to train an AI model to create somebody's visage that you can then use in a bunch of different formats. And it was also difficult to learn how to train styles so that you can capture a style and then you can blend styles anyway. So I decided I want to do that, but that it's like addicting. And so you do that and then you just generate hundreds of images because it's so cool that you can manipulate that. But what is missing is like the story. It's like having the video, the special effects department of a movie studio, but no story to actually compel those things to give them meaning and purpose.
All right, wait, when did we start talking about the Star Wars prequels?
Well, it's exactly the problem, I think, is that the story should be the most important thing, and then everything else should serve that. And so I kind of feel that a little bit with all this stuff, that I tinker around with techie stuff and then want to try to find a way to integrate it into some of the content creation. I just don't know how to do it very well, and I don't have as
There's
good
a lot of stuff.
imitation as
I'm
Jared.
not saying Jonathan's this way because he does both the good content and the good tech stuff, but I know, and I'm sure you do too, Flip, all sorts of, and probably Jared too, guitar guys. Like I got this friend in Vegas, and he ended up getting a pretty good job. So he ended up getting a lot of very good guitars and a lot of very good gear and a lot of very good pedals and a lot of very good recording equipment. And one of these times he'll get around to learning how to play the F chord. But
okay, so you guys are gonna hate me for this. Jonathan won't hate me for this comparison, but it's like the difference between, I don't know, like John Frusciante's guitar skills and the Edge's guitar skills. The Edge doesn't have to be super technically talented. He could basically take a string of bam 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 bass. That's it. But like with all of his effects, he knows his effects pedals like really fucking well.
And that's a talent.
He's
It's a
got like
certain talent.
17 different layers of delay on him, and it's making all
That's
these
hard to
insane
do.
noises. So he has a talent.
Yeah.
But it's not in his fingers.
It's like people who learn how to work those old school synthesizers, the ones that look like an old phone switchboard, and you've got to like clunk, like, you know what I'm talking about. And there are people like have no musical training and just got their hands on one of those and are millionaires now, you know, and good for them. But yeah, they just did it by learning how to make the machine go.
Kevin and I used to play in a band with a dude who had this huge pedal board, and we used to call it the SETI pedal, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence pedal board, because it had so much stuff going on. And some of the stuff he had to do to get like 3 delays working in together and then make it so it would do that exactly the same the next time was really, really complicated. But it also limits your songs. Like you have to stay in that beat, in that tone, in that thing, you know, but
no, that's like the dirty secret of U2 is like half of it is controlled by computers behind stage just to keep it all in sync, because otherwise it all just falls apart live.
And then
When
if
you've
you
got
have that
layers
much
of
delay
delays
going on, you cannot go into too many chord progressions.
That would be really fucking
Oh,
difficult to do live.
Yeah. These were the ones I was laughing at. Saying goodbye to FSY friends I will never think about ever again. And this one, me, the hot pocket I microwave too long. They're pretty funny guys. But
wait, is Mormon or
will you ever laugh?
What?
He's current Mormon, active Mormon.
Okay.
Wait,
active Mormon, and not just the guy, he's a team. They're almost kind of like Babylon B.
Onion for Mormons?
Kind of, but they've also got like a YouTube channel where they try to like debunk CES stuff.
Can we
But
make
their meme game is very good. They're very good at memes.
Trying to think of because Mormon
That's
is
what
a-
shocked me is I always made the joke that like ex-Mormons, like Mormons are really good at a lot of things. Being funny isn't one of them, and that doesn't change when they leave the church. I would always make that joke, and I would always piss off ex-Mormons who were trying to be funny, like Culch, you know, because Culch wasn't funny as a Mormon, and he's not funny as an ex-Mormon.
Still not
he doesn't
funny.
become funny just because he says the word "fuck" a bunch now.
Yeah.
But Mormon nerd, I've kind of eaten my words now a little bit with the Twitter Mormon, like Twitter Mormonism. Their meme game is pretty on point.
Yeah.
No, like I thought it was weird for like because for years now the best satire of American Christianity has come
Culch.
from Babylon B. What is he here?
It's Culch. She's in the chat.
Oh, there he is. Oh, this is only the third time we've shit on you today, buddy.
I'll give you this. Your Ocean Avenue one was pretty good. I just feel like you rushed all the ones after that.
This is a pretty funny one. The Sunday school teacher magically summoning 30 minutes of announcements from class. So you only That's pretty good. Back to Pat Bagley. So, do you have some laughs for this? Democracy, MAGA, and a wishbone.
That's how he sees it. That's how he sees it. I guess so.
Well,
I mean, that is the
message.
message. I know, but you know, it's funny.
the
It's
whole
like I always just think of like, because I imagine myself if my brother was in the room, I'd be like, like the entire Democratic message right now is that MAGA is anti-democracy, and that we literally need to vote Democrat to save democracy. And my brother would go like, "What are you talking about? Who is they? Who is saying this?
Hatchling.
What?
He's a
What do you
hatchling.
mean?"
He's a hatchling to the world.
He's totally hatchlings.
Cultural
Oh, we have
said he doesn't-
culturals. We have his permission to shit on
Yeah.
his bad content.
It makes
a
it
good
less
sport about
fun.
it. He's a good.
Yeah, he's a
No,
pretty good sport.
good-
I wish he wasn't. I'd feel better about shitting on him.
Yeah. And if I ever finished my church parodies, like at least he writes his as bad as they are.
Well, he kills us technical wise for sure.
Yeah, no, that's true. Although, can you turn
Okay,
your
I will
face into
say,
15 guys
I will,
like
I will
Jonathan?
say your video essays have been pretty decent.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen any of those. Are those
Yeah,
good?
No, they've actually been pretty good.
Well, when he did the breakdown of the Quaku's Twitter back and forth, that was a great video.
Oh yeah,
that one was good.
And we also his taper video. Yeah,
The taper video was funny.
very good.
That was because that's you
I
get
don't remember that
Mormons
one.
doing wokeism. It's just
Oh yeah.
it's
Wait, is Culch on board? Is Culch aligned? Is he like the woke ex-Mormon type of person, or is he?
Well, that's what I can't tell. That's what I would ask him, because, like, I mean, if it comes
Don't
to
know.
Jacob Hansen's what kind of ontologically evil for not being on board with
Don't you
LGBT stuff,
mean thoughtless taint?
Thoughtless taint. But then there's South Park all over your stuff, like woke-ish. But how do you like square all like your South
he's
Park?
got all the right flags in his bio.
Well, maybe it's like a shit lib stuff or something.
Huh.
You voted
He's
Trump
gross.
in 2016?
You're a fascist.
He
Ban
might
him.
just
Colts
be a
has
dirty-
voted Trump more times than I have. Let's see.
Wow.
Now he's just trying to atone for his sins, so he's overcompensating.
That's where comes from. But like, how do you square away like the South Park love with the wokeness?
So yeah,
You got to start putting his comments up on the screen so people can see it in real time.
Just come on. We know he's got hookups. Send him the link.
says I voted.
I
Biden
invited
in-
him on. I said he should come on. What we should do is just have him come on, and we can.
We'll have him and
Forrest.
Searstone on at once. That'd be.
Searstoner's coming on next week.
Yeah, Sear Stoner wants to talk about James Lindsay though. That'd be
We'll see. He promised me a whole mathematical proof that James Lindsay scales his distinctions wrong when he criticizes.
a scientific
Like he's been promising it for months. Literally for months, he's been promising that I am going to eat my words with his mathematical proof that James Lindsay is mischaracterizing Marxism. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, he says he has
Well,
science data on it.
That was the thing that struck me about this particular cartoon, is that, you know, he's including some visual cues about the type of people that are pushing these things in different way, and he includes, you know, the typical stuff that the progressive side has, but it's kind of like everybody has their mythology about who they are and what they represent. Everybody's a hero in their own story, and so in his mind, you know, the people that are out there doing all the woke stuff are trying to defend democracy, whereas MAGA, you know,
is democratically taking away democracy.
You guys ever notice how good Jonathan is at getting us back on topic, and how I'm always just getting us off topic by pointing out random shit? Anybody
No,
picked up
because
on that?
the real topics are actually booze. We're just trying to get to that.
Oh,
We're trying to hawk booze here, guys.
This is a meta. This is a meta comic because it's a wishbone that's being broken, and wishbones are supposed to be broken. And once you break the wishbone, you get to make a wish. So these two sides, it's simpatico, yo. They're supposed to be broken so that we can make a wish as a nation for peace. And
ones that are pushing for democracy, and as soon as it breaks, it's like they're going to wish for the communist utopia.
Democracy where nobody's voted for their current candidate. They're going to save democracy with their current candidate that no one's voted for, and over the other guy who is a populist, which is different than democracy.
Because
Because
ignorance. There's an ignorance gorilla. Pat Bagley, you suck. Let's see.
That
Ignorance
gross
gorilla.
little butt is funny. I'll give him
Oh,
that.
that's good. Yeah.
Ugh. That's like when people get really, really fat, they always have that like two butts, and that's the first butt. It's like really gross. It's on top of the real butt.
What
Ignorance
planet does he live?
gorilla.
Is this
Oh, man,
you know
I'm
the
dead.
meme with the guy who has to choose between the two buttons? Is this just
Yeah.
his version of that meme?
I'm guessing, but so if you go on a smartphone and you are an ignorance gorilla, you can choose between anti-Semitism or Islamophobia. I guess this probably had to be around like October 7th, right?
So I feel like these like 80s style political comics, I hate them. I hate them so much. They're way too on the nose. Like he's got the bottom caption there, smartphone, no help at all. No, we get it. He's got a smartphone in his hand. We see it. You don't have to bash us over the head with your joke.
Why would that?
Isn't very good.
Why would the bottom sentence need to be there at all?
No, that's all of those 80. I call them 80s style political comics. They're all like that. They think their audience is so goddamn stupid that they can't understand imagery.
Yeah, I'll fill in the blanks.
I think this like I want to engage with this particular cartoon. Just when I read it, I'm just like, okay, a lot of his stuff is just like not subtle, on the nose, right, politically on one side. This one, I was like, okay, well, hold on a second here, because it is this thing where people are perhaps the people who rely on public discourse and their perception of public discourse to make their mind for them, because they see, what are people agreeing with, what's popular, I'm going to go with that, that's common, and so they're looking at their smartphone trying to figure out what's real. But I think there really is this thing where the discourse has become confused, because 5 years ago, anything that was anti-Semitic would just be like, oh, that's like the worst thing ever, and Islamophobia.
Yeah, we pulled up like all
before
those TikTok kids who are chasing like celebrities who are Zionists, but I saw somebody else saying like, we're just picking out the Zionists, not the Jews. And somebody's like, that Venn diagrams basically.
I love Venn diagrams.
Oh yeah, that's a Kamala phrase. Who doesn't like a Venn diagram?
When you watch that one, like the whole Scott Adams she's an alcoholic theory really starts to be like, well, maybe, because that sounds like, oh my god, I love Venn diagrams. You have no idea. No, seriously,
Oh my god, I did Venn diagrams in my class last semester.
I'm just like, shut up. I fucking love Venn diagrams.
I'm fixing this Pat Bagley cartoon real quick here. Hold on. Here comes.
Okay.
I helped
Drop
it for
it.
sure.
Oh, geez,
Present, remove. Oh yeah. Get ready. Get ready. Boom.
Now I get it.
Now there's comedy.
Now I see the
I
biting
was saying
satire.
that there was too much caption, but I
What?
was wrong. There actually wasn't enough.
I thought you said dribble down on the caption.
Yeah, no. I was wrong about it. There just wasn't enough. He forgot to remind us that it's funny.
That's right.
Whoops.
Yeah. Well, how are we supposed to know unless Pandora's apps?
This one, I actually thought he's putting his finger on something that I think is a concern that people on all sides have.
Yeah, no, that was
Could be Jonathan Haidt stuff.
Yeah.
Insecurity, predators. That one you could almost see it as like you could take Pat Badley's name off it, and it could just be like the stock art for a Jonathan Haidt article.
Yeah,
it looks
not
like
a
the
comedy.
illustration for an after school that Jonathan Haidt narrated.
Yeah, not a cartoon. It's just the stock art for a thing about addictive phone. Men unwoke. So
They're
If you're not,
sleeping.
if you're not woke, you're a
Men
zombie.
at work. Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay, I kind of get it.
So
Men at
they're
work,
white
men
guys.
unwoke.
It's weird. So they're white guys, but they have extremely
lips?
exaggerated lips, like
We're not aware of
classic racist caricatures of
environment.
African Americans. Weird choice.
No,
Pat
no.
Bagley.
They're
No.
walking around like shit, man. I ain't seasoned my food.
Environment, health, education. Shh. Okay, so yeah, no, that's all right. Like,
I think this is why Kulch is wokish, because he still, I think he probably sees that way of looking at the world as on the side of things like health, the environment, and education.
yeah,
And,
no, yeah, they're the ones that are doing those things.
Right.
And conservatives don't care about those things.
Smart.
I know, like it's one of those things. Like since I was a kid, I remember like when I was a
Culch
little
woke
kid.
Kennedy. He's
going
weird on
in-
vaccines, but he gets the rest of this shit.
I was growing up in the 80s, and and I went to public schools, so I got absolutely blasted with a lot of environmentalist propaganda.
Here's some
Not
that you
that-
shared
but-
earlier, Flip. So you
Oh.
get an offer to buy a carbon offset. Here are.
Oh yeah, no, like this article was hilarious because like the article is basically like, it turns out that carbon offsets are a giant racket and they're just fucking lying. But we have a solution. The government is now going to offer, and they put it in quotes, high integrity carbon offsets. Like, oh, this isn't your regular old casino. This
It's like
is
we
a
say-
high integrity casino.
It's like we say with like John Larson's, depiction is always the system's completely failing. So what we need to do is system harder.
There's this dude at work who, bless his heart, he's just like honestly dumb, and he's telling us he's always got these scams that he's getting sucked into, and he's telling us about like, oh, me and my fiance, we won this trip to Hawaii. I was like, oh, you want a trip to Hawaii? That's cool. What is it? And he's like, well, we just gotta go listen to this 90-minute spiel about some stuff. And I was like, oh, they're trying to sell you timeshare. And he's like, oh no, man, that's the best part. Like, it's here, I'll show you. It says right here, this is not a timeshare. And I was like, oh, okay.
Guess how I know it's a timeshare now.
Carbon offset stuff has been, that's one of those ones. There's some things in the world that kind of like duped me at first. But that's one of the ones like the first second you hear like people are like paying for carbon offsets. You're like, what? No, this isn't a thing. Like, this can't be a thing. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, no, it's like it's okay. I'm gonna shit on the sidewalk because I paid $5 to a guy who promises me that somewhere someone is picking up shit off of sidewalks. Like, that's the deal. It's so fucked up.
It's like, Kulch, don't feel bad about believing those things that you believe in. Like, because I think all of us had moments where you believe in the ideal, or you believe in the purpose or the movement, and then you get confronted with something that like shows you that you can't just listen to the good intentions or the utopian vision. You actually have to consider how incentives change the landscape. You have to consider that people are not pawns on a board. Everyone has agency and can choose. And so I think one of the wake up things for me is, you grow up and you hear about all this aid going to Africa, and all the good people want to send aid to Africa, and it's we are the world and all these other things. It was like the big social movement. And then you see some of the aftermath about that, where like if you flood burgeoning economies with outside aid, you're destroying the ability of the internal economic evolution to happen, because businesses have to compete with free. And so they never actually build in their own, structure that would normally help an economy grow and evolve into, a more advanced economy. And so you start to see that those type of effects of the interventions that you do can actually make systems worse. And so then you just start to become very humble about what types of interventions can have. And then you start looking at the alternatives of it, and you start to listen to people who are able to demonstrate some of the other stuff. And then you hear like even Bono is like, some of that stuff that we were doing back then actually caused a lot of problems. And so as you start to all your dreams and ideals and hopeful things, you start to get confronted with the reality of how they don't turn out the way that you think they will when you intervene in certain types of ways. Then you start to be a little bit more humble about that. And then that's kind of why people go from being more, progressive to more conservative as they get older, and they start realizing a lot of these interventions make things worse and then cause justification. Now you have to do more interventions, and it's just a downward spiral.
Yeah,
but this economics message.
I unironically used to think that women should have rights and stuff. So I understand having a bunch of dumb. I'm kidding.
I'm just going to remind everybody that this economics lesson was brought to you by famous bigot and transphobe Jonathan Streeter. Everybody knows.
Does watching First Amendment audits make me less woke? Yes, it does. I guess you watch New Name Noah do those things, but if you hold to the Bill of Rights at all, you're holding on to the status quo. That's not a, in some sort of senses, in the way the world's going right now, that's that's conservative in itself. But yeah, there's all sorts of like shit libs out in the world. The come town people, and there's some guys in my band and all that stuff. I mean, I love Glenn Greenwald. I like Jimmy Dore. I like, there's plenty of lefties who are still hold to certain things. I mean, Glenn Greenwald is hard as it gets on the First Amendment and stuff like that. And yeah, I definitely think it makes him less woke to be hard on that.
Jimmy Dore, like, he's interesting to me because he's funny because I agree with him for so many reasons because he's a critic of the left, but he's a critic to the left because he's so far to the left.
Yeah, he still has economic ideas that I think are
like the shit he says about he's an absolute conspiracy theorist when it comes to police. Like he repeats all the retarded shit that BLMers say. Did
you see that BLM
Israel Palestine?
Kamala?
Like he's like full on what?
BLM came out against Kamala.
Well, of course they would. Wait, what was their reasoning?
That the democracy process didn't happen and they didn't vote for her.
Oh, wait. Oh, so they're Republicans.
But I mean, there's a bunch of people on the Democrat side, all the way back to that Tulsi Gabbard thing, that hate her because she's too much of a cop, and she was part of that whole Biden thing that was running around arresting black people, that sort of deal. And here's something I've done this since forever. I will still man Kamala Harris. That's that thing that the people talk about, that she helped somebody stay on death row. That's a lie of a situation. That's the Chino Hills guy. And Devin Tracy from Atheism is Unstoppable has done a long breakdown on how guilty that dude is. That dude's guilty as sin.
Guilty.
And representing the stuff that they claim that they have that will exonerate him is a lie. He's not. It's just they keep presenting the same stuff over and over and over again, and it has been tested. And people will go and pin that on Kamala as if she was some sort of Uber cop for that stuff. The other end of it, as far as her supposedly keeping black people in jail for their free labor and stuff like that. I mean, I'm a little bit agnostic about it, but it seems to be something that was kind of true. But the left hates her for that.
No, I didn't. This is something I just learned recently. I had no idea. Is that because the paper bags that and a lot of people use them, but there's these cheap paper bags that are in a lot of cheap places, and they're really low quality, cheap paper, brown paper bags. And they're the ones that the state of Utah uses for the DABS. And I only recently learned, if you look at them, there's a logo on it, NPI, National Prison Industries. The bags are made by prison labor. It's it's exploited labor, basically.
Yeah. And there was stuff like she prolonged people's sentences for the labor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because they pay him 50 cents an hour or whatever.
That's the claim, supposedly over 2,000. You see some people make mosaics and stuff like that of her.
I don't know. See, if we could have faith in the American justice system, and we're look, you committed a crime, you're doing your time, and you can work for a little bit extra money and to shorten your sentence and to have a little more commissary money. But I don't think it's slavery that you're working for less than minimum wage. That's one of those things, like if you commit crime serious enough, then you forfeit a lot of your rights. Okay. Because also it's voluntary. Like prisoners are not forced into labor. You can volunteer to labor for extra commissary money and possibly to reduce your prison sentence. Okay. Anyway, I lost my train of thought
Oh,
again.
so wait, they're mad at Kamala for having prisoners fight fires and put their lives at risk or whatever, but that's voluntary. They're not forced to do that.
It's voluntary, and in principle, my understanding is that it'll reduce your sentence. Because constitutionally, you can't do that. You can't be like, okay, like for example, in World War II, we didn't just make prisoners frontline soldiers, right?
Yeah.
Like for obvious reasons, but like for constitutional reasons, you can't do that. Like all this stuff is like when when lefties complain, like prisoners are forced to work, or not even forced, but they work for 50 cents an hour. It's like, well, yeah, they volunteer to do that because it's a way for them to make a little extra money rather than just rot in a cell. And in principle, you might learn some skills and all the things that prison is supposed to be. Like, I mean, this is a thing that's bugged me since I was a teenager. That I've never heard a satisfactory answer because I know there isn't one. But like in America, what is prison for? Is it punitive?
Punish.
Because we call them penitentiaries, right?
It's not to
it's penitentiaries, but then we call it corrections.
But I think it's only corrective by punishment. I don't think it's like how much of it is actually putting effort into correcting people.
Is it correction? Is it punishment? Is it rehabilitation? What is we seem to have a schizophrenic attitude in America as to what it precisely it's supposed to be.
I know certain places like in Scandinavia and stuff, like they really put effort into it actually being corrections. But I mean, I don't know like what the details are if it. I mean, I should ask my little brother. He's a parole officer. But
what does he know?
I don't know like what the recidivism is, or if it even really actually kind of helps people over there. If they put 10 years into trying to actually make the person a better person, a re-education camp. But I can't help but like cultural like the simple fact that he can sit there and listen and like take criticism and stuff puts him off a woke list. You know what I mean?
That's true. He hasn't blocked us.
I wish he was more of a dick about it so I could keep making fun of him.
He ultimately keeps seeming like a good guy. Anyway,
I know.
This is the Chino Hills. I think it's behind a paywall, but Atheism Unstoppable did a really good series on the Chino Hills, and it's a bullshit talking point that she kept a guy on death row. That guy is guilty.
Oh, you had the thumbnail for Troy and I's show up there. He's gonna talk about compatibilism as a different approach to the question of free will. I know that you guys
No, I do like compatibilism.
That's the Daniel Dennett stuff, right? Like
I agree with Troy that that's one of the better takes on it. I like it better than that Sapolsky guy.
I think it's important to advertise way better podcasts than ours on our podcast.
That remains to be seen how it will turn out. He's in the driver's seat for that, and I'm coming really to kind of learn more about that structure.
You're the student driver.
Yeah.
I so far, because I mean I've listened to enough of it, but I haven't I wouldn't call myself like a deep diver, but I agree that the compatibilism stuff's the route I go, because I mean it seems pretty close to libertarian, like free will, with just a little bit extra explanation in it.
Yeah. The thing that, like, for your audience, if for all 12 of us, if you come out of Mormonism and then you're exposed to like all these different new ideas about the world and how it works, and the world is wide open. You can accept and internalize any number of ideas without having to check with the brethren, and that's liberating. And then you start to realize, wait, all these people are talking that free will doesn't actually exist, and then you listen to their arguments and you're like, yeah, free will doesn't exist. We're all structured by our, environment, and then it just, you seem like you internalize that, and then you start talking about it. It becomes a religious talking point. And I think we've all seen this kind of in real time with a lot of the ex-Mormon podcasters, where they hear this idea, it comes from some sources like Sapolsky that are like the new clergy, and then they start advocating for it, and it ultimately comes down to, we're all, shaped, and our choices are driven by our environment. So we need to give, the authorities more power to equalize our environment so that everyone can be equal. And it just ends up being an argument for collectivism. At least that's how I've kind of seen it, but it all depends on this, denigration of free will. And so
there's always something on that Sapolsky side too, that they kind of do the thought stopping cliche thing of like announcing that it has been scienced. And I just do not believe that level in that world, and that the world of the, what would they call that, the science of the mind, what is that? It's the degree Sam Harris has.
No, it's like was it the
neuroscience,
the Templin Institute? Like, the guys that, like, they always are sponsoring peer-reviewed scientific studies that are supposed to show the efficacy of prayer and stuff. But like, the woke have actually gotten institutional capture on that stuff, and so they're able to push these things like, oh no, we've proven scientifically that no one has free will. Like,
yeah, and there's certain
like people like, oh no, we've proven scientifically that if you pray, you have a 5% chance of recovering from heart failure or whatever.
Well, just like we saw somebody earlier today say, this woman says it's science. It's been done in psychological studies that 89% of people will accept a threesome request.
I know, like, it's like, yeah, that's
woman.
Okay. That study was conducted by any hot woman or
at a frat house. It's
like Brad Pitt. Like, Brad Pitt asked 100 couples, "Would you like to have a threesome?" And 89 said yes.
Yeah.
If you want to have a threesome, just ask nicely. That's what I did.
Well, what I did is I went to a gay bathhouse and I said, "Would you like to have a threesome?" And in
threesome, baby, what are you, vanilla?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the problem. Is like 9 rooms had 3 people. The 10th room, there was too many people. No threesome. Like, we don't even
we
know.
Just had a 12-some instead.
What is the fancy word for when there's 28 of us?
It's kind of funny because so that those base camp guys that I've shown a couple of their videos, they're kind of interesting people, because one of the things that they talk about a lot is that they are born, those are like high-born people. They are born from Texas billionaires who ran around with the Bushes and stuff like that. So they talk a lot about like all the people that they run around with and that sort of stuff. And he says there's something about the types of degrees that they're allowed to get that seem, some of them seem hillbillyish, like they call them like just like the blue bloods. They're in judgment of their kids. Like they think if they even get like doctor degrees or something like that, like that's basically a janitor or something like that. And then they said it's basically been for like 20 years that any sort of high-born blue-blooded kid who has tons of money, what they go into is neuroscience. That's what they said. All of them get like neuroscience degrees. And what's Sam Harris? Sam Harris is the heir to the fortune of the Golden
Girls fortune. That's so crazy. Did you?
I didn't know this.
Watch Golden Girls at the end, produced by Susan Harris.
Yeah, Sam Harris is always just a rich kid. Yeah, and he just went and got these. He got to go hang out in India and meditate and then get a neuroscience degree. But one of these things, these base camp kids, I'm trying to find the episode, but I can't find the exact one. Here, I'll show them again, because they had that episode on the different conservatives and the new direction they think Trump is going, which is kind of more the Silicon Valley right type stuff. These kids are born of billionaires, so they kind of like spill the dirt on their families for that sort of stuff. But they talk about how like all of them look down on anything, and almost all those rich kids nowadays are going and getting neuroscience degrees. But one of the things about like all those neuroscience degrees is I think most of the stuff they're doing in that area is like overstated. I think it's way overstated for like the level that it's at, you know. And
that was so interesting listening to Sapolsky.
What's that?
Sorry, go ahead, Jonathan. I don't have something.
Oh, I was just saying that was one of those things that's about interesting about listening to Sapolsky is like I saw him. Everyone brings him up when they say, "Oh, trans is a biological reality." Listen to Sapolsky, and so then I'm like, okay, well, we need to really listen to what Sapolsky has to say. So you go and listen to him, and he'll start a talk with like, I didn't do these. I didn't do this research. I know about it. I haven't really done a big dive, but here I'm going to present it to you. But then he starts presenting about how, we know these trans-identified people, when you do the scans, they have the brain of the gender they identify with, not with the other gender. But then that assumes that there's already been studies that have been done that can tell a female brain from a male brain in those things, and that's not reliable. And then there's the thing is like, okay, well, that's, if that's true, then now we have a gold standard for who's trans and who isn't trans. And so you can apply that into the treatment paradigm about who should get intervention. These are all things that you just kind of go in your head about it, but then
Well, very much spits in the face of self-ideas as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's that veneer of scientism that you can, bless the concept with, but as long as you don't ask questions and you don't dig further and you don't say, well, hold on a second, is this actually true? And then there's some people that have gone into his claims and actually looked at the studies that he cites and shows that he's misinterpreting their data. He's making claims far beyond what the data shows, but he's got a bushy beard and he talks with a gentle, voice, and he tells everybody they're not responsible for their choices. So
is that why Rock Waterman got popular?
Well, but there's so there's the phenomenological problem with that whole thing too, and I brought this up before to Seth. I bring it up to him like every time, is that whole scientism thing, the Judith Butlers in the world are just as, if not more, skeptical of all that stuff than even your average Mormon or whatever, because they do not want something falsifiable about their phenomenology. Like, if it was true that brain thing was there and scannable and measurable, we could go falsify any kid who goes and announces that they are experiencing some sort of transness. And no way would they ever accept that. In fact, they've already laid down a bunch of the theories saying that they wouldn't accept that if something like that were to come about.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if you're in medicine and you're involved in therapies that have significant side effects or significant, things that you have to confront as
oh, what do you know about medicine and side effects, famous transphobe?
True. Like, you have to be aware of those things. And if there's a test that can like increase the chance that your patient selection for your intervention will be better, you take advantage of that test. Like, they're so interested in that they're doing genetic coding of certain types of tumors because they have particular types of chemotherapy agents that will work on a particular subtype of tumor that has a particular genetic marker. And so like they're getting that specific in it. And so you would want to take advantage of that for any of these interventions. But
for sure. But that would be something that Butler would be against. Like, if it was something that could be cured, she would rage against the machine about that. Just like nowadays you have disabled people raging against the machine against ableist answers to their problems.
You think that I want to be able to walk? Yes.
You're trying to commit deafness genocide by curing deafness.
Okay, but like the other side of the debate, their answer would be like, well, let's find a test that can determine if you are deaf while you are still an embryo, and then we'll just fucking abort you so that you don't have to live a life of deafness. We cured deafness, just like Iceland cured Down syndrome.
Yeah, that's so terrible.
That's evil. If you find out that your kid has Down syndrome and you abort him because of that, fuck you a little bit.
Yeah.
That was one of my first engagements with that issue. I was in medical school, and they have you rotate through a bunch of different places, and one of the things I rotated through was a pediatric conference that they took for high-risk mothers that had already had, the conference was, they'd done chromosomal testing and they've identified congenital anomalies in mothers. And naive me, I was just going to learn about these various congenital disorders I didn't think about it as a political thing at all. And I hadn't really confronted that there are battlegrounds in medicine that are politically charged at that point. I was, a young kid, as I see myself now anyway. But I had a friend who was Catholic and had been raised Catholic. And I'd met him in medical school, and he was a good guy. And he came to me and he's like, "Hey, we got to go to this conference. Are you ready to go to the killing fields?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "This conference is just so that they can get together and decide which of these women should abort their kids." And I'm like, it dawned on me that was the difficult question that was being faced by all the mothers who were being, their cases were being talked about that. But I just never had anyone bluntly frame it in a political way. I'd always looked at things as a medical decision, and being raised Mormon, I understood that there were situations that the church, didn't condemn abortion if it was for the health of the mother or in cases of incest or rape. And I think I just took it for granted if there was some of the congenital anomalies are so significant, it might be like a fetus, if you allowed it to be carried to term, would be born without a head and without a brain, or would have their spinal cord completely open. And there are conditions that are incompatible with life. And so, I understood that there were parents put in the position of having to terminate a pregnancy that they understood was incompatible with life if they carried it out to that. It was my first confrontation between looking at things purely from the patient and medical ethic perspective versus a very religiously informed political ideological perspective on it. But
Down syndrome is pretty compatible with life.
Life is a social construct, you guys.
That is true.
Maybe the quality of life is a social construct.
Well, to some degree. We actually had that discussion with Charles was in the chat when we were having our discussion with Maven, and she's describing that quality of life that just sort of universally ought to be terminated. And Charles was like, "Hang on a minute. That was me. I had a crappy childhood. I'm glad my mom didn't abort me."
Yeah. So I actually had a ton more, and we're running long. But
we are going long.
But
this is too bad, though. We got bonus Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind at all anything that we've done so far. I just would also like maybe we could rapid fire some of the stuff, but
yeah,
rapid fire. I wanted to go over the Mother and Maiden's Matriarch Misandrists podcast.
Wait, what?
They dropped it last week, and Maven was on it, but I wanted to just comment on it.
She became visible. Oh my God, these people. They're so
she's the one who's also like a Saturn worshiper or something like that, like the Mother Saturn or horoscope stuff. But
I haven't figured her out yet. I don't know what camp that she's in, because she's an older ex-Mormon. She's a content creator, and she's interested in fitness. Her thing is she's an older ex-Mormon, but she's in the gym, and she's a gym rat type thing. And so there's something unique about her. She's interested in AI art. She's asked me to give her some advice on how to create AI stuff. And I think you're seeing some of the fruits of that here. And then
you helped her do that right there?
No. I told her the tools that I use. And so if she has learned how to do that, that's up to her. But
I can tell you right now that's not a streeter AI. They're far more refined than that.
She apparently had a disabled child, and that
she's talked about that.
Yeah, that's been an important part of her story. And
you could start a business. I've got your slogan for you. It's Streeters Authentic Counterfeits.
Because we're getting a lot of counterfeits out there these days.
Yeah.
Some of her episodes
get a real streeter counterfeit.
Yeah, she's actually read some of my blog posts as just kind of a framework for building her discussions on that. I think stuff that I did about my own brother who was mentally disabled when I was growing up. But
he isn't anymore.
He actually, when I was 13, there was
sorry,
a
that was
vehicle. No, that's okay. There was a car accident that claimed the life
Oh.
of my dad and
Oh,
a couple of my
Jesus.
brothers and my sister. And my mom survived. She was the only survivor of that. But that was
Well, I'm an
died
asshole.
in a car accident. No, that's okay. But he had a brain injury as an infant, and that colored a lot of my childhood growing up. And so that she'd read an article based on that, but it was this week that she had Maven on and with another person, and so you got to see a little bit of that perspective. I think it's always hard because the temptation when you deal with gender issues is to either look for equality, look for parity, find differences and acknowledge them and value them, or you can just go the easy way and just demonize the other gender all the way. And
Yeah,
so
fuck women.
Which is, it's strange to me because like I listened to this entire podcast, and each one of them have examples of dickheaded dudes, sure, but each one of them has examples of supposedly great guys in their life. Like actually, the main lady there, she doesn't seem to have that many complaints about her immediate husband. She does about church men, but her husband was fine, and.
Well, but I do remember, I remember having issues, in my marriage, right? And I remember getting into some of the red pill stuff, and they talk about a lot of the stereotypical things that women do. And I would see some of the things they say, and I'm like, yeah, Morgan does that, and it's unreasonable, ha. and I'd be like, yeah, women. I'd start listening, and then eventually I'm listening to him, and I get to the point where I'm like, oh, wait a minute, you actually want me to hate my wife. And that's I verbalize that the best when I hear Pearl Davis talk, because I can't think of anyone that I think is more fake than Pearl Davis. I hate her so much, and I say that to people all the time when they talk about her. I'm like, no, if you listen to Pearl Davis, you will hate your wife. She wants you to hate your wife in the same way that Judith Butler wants you to hate your husband.
Or just assume that the wife is there to get what she can out of you and then leave the husk of you.
Yeah, she is not your partner. She's less than you. So, yeah.
Remember that story that was listed in the Beautiful Trouble that happened last week? And then there was a guy that said, this is a comment from somebody else, and it was a guy posting about how in his wife's book club, she was introduced to feminism. And then she started interpreting and reframing everything that was usually part of the neutral ground of a relationship and the normal give and take as oppressive. And his wife got all of the tools to problematize everything that he had
done. Here it is right here.
Yeah.
Says, I still miss the girl I originally married.
Well, there's
I've seen that happen.
There's a whole episode of South Park, if you remember, there's a subplot where Randy just wants Sharon to admit that sometimes she gets emotional and hormonal and is irrational. And that's all he just wants, that's all he wants is just that acknowledgement that is a real phenomenon. That does happen. Do you guys remember that one?
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of just like what I saw some people arguing abortion online today, and the first thing all the lefties go to is it's never used for contraception, and you go hey, come on, man, you'd argue better if you would just say sometimes that happens. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah.
Well, this thread here, is there a feminism to divorce pipeline? Do you think historically there's feminism to divorce pipeline? And what?
And there'd probably be a red pill, if somebody went full red pill to divorce,
Sure.
Usually most guys get full red pill after the divorce.
Yeah,
it's not usually
that's the thing. It's because Jared, I guess he's the first time that I've heard some guy red pilling himself or almost red pilling himself while he's married to a reasonable spouse. But it does seem
it's just normal issues,
Reasonable is relative.
normal marital issues and stuff like that, and like Morgan, Morgan, she's not crazy or anything like that. She's just a normal person, but normal people have issues, and so we would have issues, and I would listen to this stuff, and then I'm like, hell yeah, let's. And I'd get a little bit more into it, but I'd always notice when they were being like unfair. It felt like first leaving the church, like when you first leave the church and you're like, yeah, burn it down, and then they're like, they're responsible for LGBTQIA plus suicides, and like, all right, well, what's the rest of the data say? Have we compared it to other highly Christian areas? What do the suicide rates say about that? And then they shun you for saying that.
For asking.
Like
Not
they
for saying,
even
for
like the
asking.
whole. I even looked at the whole MGTOW movement. They have that phrase. What is it? NAWALT. The not all women are like that, and they say that's a stupid phrase. Like if you ever say not all women are like that, you're demonized. They have an acronym for it, and they say
Yeah.
no, AWALT. All women are like that, and you see more of that, and you're like, oh wait, this is.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
where
this
it's
is an
like it's
evil
retarded.
knee-jerk response to something that's also evil.
Yeah, get it.
Yeah, I think being able to realize radicalization can happen in these things, and this is something where like you kind of notice it. Feminist Mormon housewives is part of the story of a lot of different divorces and a lot of different departures from the church, and that in some cases is the introduction of otherwise hopeful, idealistic young women who have gotten married and are navigating their life, and they encounter feminine Mormon housewives, and they start introducing ideas of feminism. And then, there's reasonable ideas of feminism that aren't bent on demonizing the other gender, and then there are more radical, extreme forms that would be more like that. But being able to, hey, could we have a conversation about that phenomenon in something like Mormon Stories community? Probably not, because as soon as you try to say, hey, there might be aspects of feminism that are going to make it really hard for you to keep a relationship, and maybe you want to avoid going down that particular pathway of feminism, I don't know that conversation could be had. But you could start out with like, hey, it's possible for somebody to get into this red pill thing and then suddenly to see all women as the problem and find issues with all things with women. And I'm sure people would be like, yeah.
You become a critical theorist, which I think it's all kind of tied to almost kind of having that materialist Marxist mindset. And we're not to say Marxist in the typical Marxist way, in the materialist way. Like, and it's a little bit of the Sapolsky and the neuroscience way. Is like, I'm viewing this person as just a self-interested bot and not like an idealistic being of value, or something like that. And you get to the stuff where like the women start like calculating who's keeping track of who's doing the most chores, and who's any sort of chore that I do is just me being treated as an object of labor or something like that. And the same reverse happens with men. Like it's like, well, you're a woman, you're just trying to get money, you're just trying to get resources, and and in a weird way, it's all ultimately all the way back to critical theory. It's all the way back to materialist critical theory, and people just usurping and oppressing each other to get their material uppers on the other person. But what Jared described, I think it's the essence of what I get from these guys is that, like, yeah, you leave the church and at first you're like, no, they're causing LGBT suicides and all that stuff, and it's kind of a bit of extreme. Or you get divorced and you're like, all women just are just what is that term? The hypergamous. They're just hypergamous. Yeah. And they're only trying to get to the next buck, or next dollar, or something like that.
Monkey branching.
And at some point, you kind of be like, no, a human's a human. But like, I have the sense from these ladies, like as I listen to them, that they're just in that essence, or still in that sense of like that teenage. Usually call it like a kid who went to Brown University in their first year, and they realize all men are terrible patriarchy, and it feels like still like that juvenile take on what the opposite sex is. I mean, you can listen here. She says her shelf was men. Her shelf was men.
You want to know the funniest part about all of this is that if I were to bring this to the table, if I were to ask a bunch of people for advice, where I'm like, I'm learning about all this hypergamy, I'm learning about this red pill stuff, I'm learning that I'm basically oppressed by my wife and she's wrong in this way and this way and this way, and that women should be subservient or whatever. Do you want to know the first person to tell me knock that shit off? My very Mormon dad. All of my Mormon leaders growing up, they'd be like, no, No, she's not your partners, dude. You don't get to treat her like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The patriarchy. My patriarchy infested dad would be the one who's like, no, she's your partner. Act like a fucking man and treat her like a partner. And you know what I would say? I'd say, actually, Dad, that's the no true Scotsman fallacy that you just committed right there.
Actually,
No.
Did you have a clip that you thought was?
Yeah. Here's them just saying.
Knows my history. What was it that made you start to not believe in the church? And I finally, after doing some research and listening to, you guys tell your stories and stuff, I realized it was the patriarchy in general. And I didn't understand that the entire corporation was set up with patriarchy and with this mindset that this is your role as a woman. You are a caregiver, you are a helpmate, you have no other purpose. But
you have no other purpose.
We are the most important thing on the earth.
When was that the message? When was that ever the message? You have no other purpose. That was never the message. Anyway.
It is if it's a materialist, what do they call that? A materialist critique of it. Like,
and I
well, the thing is,
the
ideology reframes your history. Like you learn these ideas, and then you look back on what you have, and you pick out the problematic parts, and you lose all perspective with the other dimensions of what's being said because you can problematize it, and if you continue to do that, it just leads you further and further into a more radicalized position where you lose the ability to see anything good or balanced on it. I don't think
the past is not static. The past is not static when seen through the lens of ideology.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it makes stuff like have to hardline the cynical take. It's almost kind of like, remember like the implicit bias test. The implicit bias test, there's maybe like some truth to it that people have in-group preferences, and so you're going to quickly identify with somebody within the group quickly, but it says nothing about 10 seconds later when you like reevaluate stuff. And it's a little bit the same thing about, they're not wrong. You're not wrong about your materialist state. The monkey branching and hypergamy is true. It's real. The only problem is humans can also think past it. You know what I mean? Like you can beat it, you can overcome it. You don't have to just be stuck to the base materialist monkey animal whatever things we are. And women, yeah, it's true, women have children. We showed that lady earlier. Everybody's freaking about the JD Vance thing, and all these women are saying we don't owe the world babies, and you stop and go, oh, but if we're going to continue, yeah, because nobody else can do it. You know? Like, do you owe it? Like, but you also change that framing to you change that framing into you're just a piece of material, and you're claiming that we're changing you into a material while you are also in the process of changing everything into object and material. You know.
Used to for years, I mean, I can pick out all these situations where I would have run-ins with bishops or run-ins with weirdo, home teachers and things like that. And I always individualized it. I always said, oh, that guy's just crazy, or, oh, that guy's a jerk. I didn't understand that it was this entire system that's set up. And so once I read David O. McKay's biography that Greg Prince wrote, I didn't look at it as a biography of a prophet.
No, lady, I did the same thing with black people.
I looked at it where
I used to, when I had a bad experience with black people, I used to just think like, oh, it's just this individual black guy is a bad guy. But then I learned that it's the whole group.
Yeah, it's the system of poverty that makes
it's a system of black that is just bad,
system,
right?
Man.
It's the system because I'm a racist.
My eyes were finally opened.
That nakedly exposes what that process is.
Yeah, that's
your little metaphor there, Jared.
In case anybody watching doesn't understand,
You're gonna get clipped.
If there were more than dozens of us, then yeah, I'd get clipped right there, and they'd be like, "Oh, he hates black people."
Of us.
there's been a bunch of think pieces on that hillbilly elegy stuff lately, and one of the main reasons why all the typical folk hate it and call it the worst is because the thing has a message of beating out the system. And it's kind of funny because you could even like give a better critique on the left that Trump doesn't even understand the book, because Trump goes and says stuff like, oh, he's got this book that says America's been very, very unfair. It's been very, very unfair to the people of Appalachia. And this whole story of the book is that you overcome it from your decisions. Like the whole thing's about your agency and getting better and making choices on your own and it's a pull you up by your bootstraps. But of course, all the systemic systems of systems people actually read it and they see that and they hate it for that, you know. And then Trump misread it and said, he says the system's got to be better than the Appalachian Whitey. But
Save the hillbillies.
Save the hillbillies, yeah. It's hillbilly theory, critical hillbilly theory. Is really what it is.
Somebody get this to the writers of The Boys now.
Oh my gosh, they would put that in there. You just probably made that happen in real life.
Wait a minute, we could just do critical whatever theory.
So, I mean, that whole thing brings to, have you guys heard of Ballerina Farms?
Ballerina Farms? No.
It's a trad wife. She's like the biggest trad wife account on like all of TikTok. Ballerina Farms. And a whole like hit piece was put out on her in the Times right here. Meet the queen of the trad wives, Ballerina Farms. And she's Mormon. Did you know that? Could you have guessed that? And she's one of the famousest influencers and stuff. And this whole article basically frames her as a feminist prisoner. You know what I mean? Even though she makes millions of dollars doing this trad wife TikTok channel or some sort of thing. But of course, she's just a slave there. She's a slave, enslaved.
She literally doesn't have a voice.
Like this is a slave. You're looking at a slave right here. And yeah, they're also like mega millionaire, whatever, from this whole like channel that they're doing all that sorts of stuff. But yeah, if you read that whole article,
were they normies before the channel?
Yeah, they were normies. They were rich before the channel too. She was actually a New York City ballerina, and he married her and took her out to Utah to who is it who recently, it's almost like the inverse of that Filipowski basketball player. Like he brainwashed her into this Mormon lifestyle, took her out of like her ballerina career to come be this, which they actually just put a ton of this on TikTok and all that stuff. But if you read the whole thing, she might as well be a prisoner. And of course there's all these like TikTok feeds on like think pieces from that like other Mormon think piece person who's like, oh, let me just talk about Ballerina Farms here. And let me see here if I can find it.
I was just going to hop on for a little bit and then hop off. I better go. So I can.
I got to get going too. What time is it?
Yeah, we're about done. This is the end of the stuff.
Cool. In relation to this new profile of Ballerina Farm that gives a very different depiction of
It's safe like this whole thing. This is another Mormon influencer who talks about this stuff. And of course, every single breakdown she gets is exactly critical theory. Like it's the same, as we've said a million times, it's the same story. They say the same story each time. They had a deconstruction, realize it's the patriarchy, and they realize it's systems. And we never get like how to unsystem the systems, even though they're preferential to systems because they think that we should be able to top down system it better. But the systemic systems are the problem as well.
taking place on the farm with the Nealman family, but I just want to address this comment. I want to address it by just sharing like a quick story about myself. Yesterday after I recorded
The
this
comment says, I get this, but I know that women like in these lives think that they're happy and they don't want different from themselves. They like their life. Maybe she does too.
I went to dinner with my husband. context, I'm in my early 30s. So is my husband. We got married in our mid 20s. So we've been married for several years now, and we plan to have children, but we haven't had them yet. And because I've been writing this book about domestic labor and trad wives, and because of this
Too
book,
late.
I was just really thinking
Domestic
about how many women have
labor.
such different lives than I do. And more specifically, I was thinking about how he and I both really started to deconstruct so many of the worldviews that were handed to us when we were little in our late 20s. Like, I think if I'm generous, I would say maybe I was 27 or so when I started to really think about the world around me and move towards the views that I hold now about like thinking about systems and being really progressive. And over dinner, I just kept telling him how it was so hard for me to think about the fact that if I had had children with him immediately, I don't think any of this deconstruction would have happened. And this would have been me having a child at 25.
That would have sucked, wouldn't it?
That brings us all the way back around to that Mary Harrington point. And it's like, even the kid, the person who doesn't have the baby realizes that the baby would.
This lady.
If I would have had kids when I was young, I wouldn't have get covered in tattoos, got a septum piercing, and herpes.
And sit and done think pieces on TikTok all night.
Jared, you took the joke right out of my mouth. That was exactly the joke I was going to make. Except I was going to add blue hair and a divorce.
Well, that's coming, right? It'll be there. But anyway, that just hit that stuff, the feminism and the trad wivey stuff, and that's about it. So
Well,
we've done
hot
enough
damn.
on all the other stuff.
Good times.
Fun.
Well, thanks for
All
coming
right.
on there, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on and showing us all the. Actually, I don't even know who we were ever talking to. Like, which one was it this whole time?
It's been
could have been Kyle
Kevin
Dunnigan.
and Jonathan
I was
Face the whole time.
I was cultural hall the whole time. You invited me on.
Oh shit!
We got so punked.
You think
Your
I'm
mind
funny
really
now?
is
You've
a
been
crazy
laughing all night.
All right, you guys have a good one.
Cool.
You too. Thanks for hanging.
All righty.
Hasta la pasta.